just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Paisley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The NBA finished up its draft last night, and the Celtics were busy. They traded down from pick number 32 overall. They got picks 46 and 57, along with a pair of future second-round selections from Orlando to start the night. Then they selected Kentucky center Amari Williams and VCU swingman Max Shulga, the Atlantic 10 Player of the Year. Summer League play begins in Las Vegas for a lot of NBA teams in less than 2 weeks. Bruins will have the 7th overall selection in the first round of tonight's NHL draft out in Los Angeles. Bruins also have a pair of second-round picks, numbers 51 and 61. The NHL and the Players Union are today expected to announce the framework of a 4-year extension to their current labor agreement. Red Sox had last night off. They've lost 5 in a row. They went 3-6 on the West Coast. They start Brian Bayo tonight, the opener of a 3-game series against Toronto at Fenway Park. And the NFL has suspended free agent kicker Justin Tucker for the first 10 weeks of next season for violating their personal conduct policy. He's been accused of sexual misconduct by 16 different massage therapists in and around Baltimore while he was playing for the Ravens. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off a drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
When breaking sports news happens in Boston,
The news this morning, Marco Sturm,
it happens here.
former Bruin, now current Bruins head coach. The hiring made official today.
Boston's home for breaking sports news and your flagship station for the Boston Bruins all year long. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
When has that been necessary to fact check?
and Hardy
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
on 98.5.
Hey there.
Sarge GDT loading up.
Let me hear you say, "Boo! Boo! Boo!"
Crush me, mommy.
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'm a goddamn drag.
Yeah, good luck, dude.
Nothing like a good tushy.
I love you. And I think you know that. Excuse me?
Toucher and Hardy
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fun, having some fun.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
Ugly son of a bitch. The ugly one?
Law's house in Philadelphia and then going to the Jersey Shore with them, which sounds awful, but he loves it. Then you have Hardy, who's not going anywhere,
No.
which is the superior thing to me, who's going to Hoover, Alabama. From Saturday through Thursday.
What's
I
the
will be
weather?
in Hoover, Alabama.
What's the weather looking like?
It's whatever. It's not even like that crazy. It's just it was worse here last weekend. It's Hoover, Alabama. But the good news is my father's coming down for 3 days.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
And what was interesting is that I, after several calls in texts last night or last evening, had to sit down and give him the name and address of the hotel because the Westin Birmingham wouldn't have been enough. I had to give him the name and address of the hotel. Then I had to give him the name and address of the sports complex where most of the games are, and the names and address of the other sports complex or the other field where he's going to be. I'm 19 miles away from the complex. I don't know where his team's staying because he got put on this team late. So I'm going to be. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a feeling I'm going to be just leaving him, and then he's going to have to take. If they have lifts in Birmingham, I imagine they do.
What days are you there, Fred?
I've seen the weather. I'm there Saturday. I mean, not really Saturday. I fly in tomorrow, but I get there at night, and then so I'm there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Okay. I saw high 80s yesterday, 90s.
Did you see thunderstorms every day?
No, not yesterday. If there's thunderstorms every day, I'm screwed. That's the thing that's more than heat that would screw me.
Scattered thunderstorms in the morning, mainly cloudy during the afternoon with thunderstorms likely. And then Sunday night, chance of an isolated thunderstorm. And then, just repeat.
See,
for Monday,
what I have is
Wednesday.
it's going to rain every evening, which it just does in the South. See, Monday there's not supposed to be rain, according to what I'm looking at. Tuesday there's not supposed to be rain, and then Wednesday there's a couple thunderstorms. That's just what happens down there. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Southeast, but it gets so humid that there's a thunderstorm and it usually is hard and lasts for 15 minutes.
A lot of activity up in the atmosphere.
Oh, a lot of activity. But what would screw me is if it rains all day one day. Then that would really screw me.
That'd be bad.
I actually looked to see if there was a movie theater there, and there is a big one. 15 theaters.
There you go.
Nice.
An AMC 15. Huh? That's big.
Yeah.
You can go see the movie F1 with Brad Pitt.
Does that open this weekend?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
All right. That's good.
Yeah, so I've really planned for a big weekend. So I've actually seen if there's a movie theater, because I have a feeling if it rains, I'll just leave him with people, and then I'll be by myself.
You have a bonding time with his teammates during the rainstorm.
I would imagine that they're staying somewhere we're not, and then they can go. I mean, he's going to want to be with them, but he's got to sleep in the room. But I'm not going to dick around following them all around. I mean, I'm sure I'll see the parents, and I'm sure the parents will go out to dinner and stuff like that. But after dinner, I mean, what am I going to do? There's nothing for me to do.
Well, you did.
Unless there's like a one of those bars with the phones on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Where you pick it up, and then you call up, and I can get on Birmingham Tinder, and just hang a sock on the bedroom door, the handle. Be like, Milo, I'm getting laid.
What is the equivalent?
Make way.
What do they hang in Alabama for swingers? Down in Florida, we know it's the upside down pineapple. Is it a bag of grits? You just
leave that outside the
It's
door?
a burning.
Yeah.
It's a burning cross. Is what you leave in front of the door. Oh boy, Andrew. Andrew lives in Alabama. Hello, Andrew.
Hey, morning, guys. No, I live in Louisiana, and just to kind of give you an idea, it rains every day around like 3:30, 4 o'clock, so
Right.
it'll be blistering hot up until when it rains, and then even hotter after it rains. So,
It's that awful humidity where there's the steam coming off the ground.
yeah, it's suffocating.
Yeah.
So just do your best to stay inside.
Well, I lived in Atlanta for 8 years, and I went to school in Florida, so I am familiar with the
you get
area.
it.
Yeah.
You get it.
And even though I don't have a tattoo, I do spend a great deal of time in South Carolina, so I am aware.
oh yeah, prove it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you and Gary getting matching tats or what?
Yeah, I mean, I really should get one based on the fact that I've been there far more than he has. But I probably will end up moving to the Southeast at some point when I get older. But I will. So I'm very familiar with it down there. I'm very comfortable down there. I've never been to Alabama, to my knowledge. I don't think I've ever been to Alabama, because why the hell would you go there? But this is Birmingham. Birmingham's got to be the biggest city in Alabama, right? And it's not very big. Alabama does not a lot to offer. Perhaps Tuscaloosa is bigger because of the university, but I don't know. Birmingham's got an airport, and Birmingham not close to Atlanta. There were some people saying fly into Atlanta and then drive to Birmingham. Birmingham could be a 4-hour drive from Atlanta. So flying to Atlanta, then getting in a rental car and driving 4 hours, no thank you. Because I saw that the flight because if you fly into Atlanta and then fly up to Knoxville, it's like really you get in the air and then you land. This is like a 2-hour flight. This is a real flight. And so when I saw it was like a 2-hour flight, I'm like, oh. I'm like, how far is this? And I'm like, oh, this is far. I'm like, thank God I got the flight, because I don't really check into these things anymore. I find I'm better just adapting once I get there. Like you don't
want to worry about it before.
Now I know I bitch about these things like a little bit or a lot, but in terms of like planning and like planning to see like what's going on and planning activity, I don't do that generally. My plan is to get there and then I just adapt. I figured that's what I have to do in life is I just go and I adapt. And so, but then I without thinking bought the flight because I just didn't feel like dealing with driving. And now I'm really glad I did because that's no joke. That's a pain in the ass drive. 4 hours when you get off the plane. And then with the way that airlines are and the delays and everything and I mean, that could be a 12-hour day. It could take 8 hours door to door to get to Atlanta.
I'm just thinking, I think the only time I was in Alabama was also the only time I think I was in Mississippi, and that was on the Patriots Drive for 5 bus.
Oh, yes.
And we did the route down the eastern seaboard and then across the south all the way to Houston for the Super Bowl, and we were stopping in various locations that were the homes of Patriot players who were on that team against the Falcons in the Super Bowl. And what Super Bowl was it, John?
Yeah, don't you know the Roman numerals?
No, not off the top of my head. Sorry.
But I can't remember. I remember our stops in Mississippi because we stopped at Malcolm Butler's high school, and I remember the stop in Louisiana because that's where Kevin Falk was like coaching and hanging out. We went to a high school there. Alabama escapes my memory.
Yeah,
I don't.
God, that had to suck because not only are you going cross country, you're dotting all these random places, and it's probably taking you way out of the way.
Just gonna say,
like,
you have that focus on going to your eventual place in Houston, but you're taking lefts and rights and by. It's Super Bowl LI.
Okay, very good, John. I'm glad you looked that up. But but like going to a random town in Louisiana or going to a random town in Alabama, that's just, it's got to be excruciating because you know that it's just adding time. And I'm sure you were inconspicuous in your big touring bus that was going through these hick towns.
That was all like decked out in, it was a beautiful bus, and they did it up in all the Patriots logos and stuff on the outside. The only thing that made it bearable is we had like a decisive plan. Like these bus drivers file a flight plan like they're airline pilots. And it's like, no, we're going to make it from here to here in this amount of time. And they did. They knew exactly how long it was going to take to drive from, spot to spot to spot, like days in advance. And the worst part of it was when you would arrive at one of these places that was expecting you, and you've been on this bus for the last 10 hours, and there's like stopping in Atlanta for the fan rally, which was the biggest one that we had, ironically. For the Patriots game against the Falcons, the biggest fan rally we had was in Atlanta, and that was the one I called to crash. I said, please come out to this thing. I don't know how many people are going to actually show up. Now, there were thousands there, but you're exhausted from being on this bus, and you just feel like crap and just feel like you smell, and you haven't, you just don't feel like yourself. And then you got to get off this bus and, host an event. And it was like, I don't feel like going out there. And never mind the fact, what are we actually going to do when we step off this bus? We're not players.
Yeah, no one knows
no one knows who we are or cares.
Did
they cared about Pat Patriot, the guy in the bus with us who dressed up in the.
Well, way to ruin
mascot.
the illusion. The guy who dressed up.
Sorry.
Did you guys get hotel rooms, or did they just have you sleep on the bus?
Once.
See, that's even mid-tier touring bands will get a hotel.
Well, you want to know what the real hell of it was? Apparently, one night, both drivers got too tired, and a wrench was thrown into the works.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I realized the bus had stopped, and I figured we were getting gas or something. No, we were in a parking lot of like a motel, not a Motel 6, something a little better than that.
Yeah.
But I woke up on the bus, and what's going on? Oh, the drivers went in and got a room, and they're in there sleeping. Like, how about us? I would have. And then we took turns showering in the hotel room.
Yeah, that's
once they got done sleeping and got up and they came back and they were like, "Oh, feel great. Hey, if you guys, we got the room for another 2 hours. If you guys want to grab a shower inside."
Oh God!
Because even like there's a lot of bands that punk bands and stuff that travel by bus and they'll just stay at on people's floors and stuff, and or in some bands where the touring schedule is so tight where it's tough for them to get a room. But even in those situations, like if you're big enough to have a tour bus, which is an accomplishment, but it's not insane, you generally they'll even get a room to have you get to shower and hang out in. Like Kiss, like in the early 70s, probably after one tour would at least get a hotel room like every other city.
Yeah.
And so that's really sucks.
Yeah.
How long were you on that bus?
I think we left on a Monday, and we got to Houston on Sunday. So 6 days.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I'm in Alabama for 6 days, and I'm like, that's a long time. The bus, I remember at the time, and you called in I think you called into all the shows, and I remember just feeling so bad for you because it just seems so awful. Because I think they wanted, at one point they asked us to do it, or certainly asked me to do it, and I was like, and I remember just going no, and then they were, and because especially at the time I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. I would even be more apt to do it now than I would have been then, and they're like, I think I do remember them going like, hey, we want you to go like on this bus, and me just going no, and then them and I don't often act like this, and they were like, no, just think about it, and I'm like no, and they're like, well, what if no? I'm just like no, like almost panicking, like no, and I think if they asked me, they at least asked someone else, and I believe that I think I said, you better not say you'll do this. Because there's no way in hell I'm doing it, like regardless of I'm not doing it. And I don't know if I've ever done that in my career, just gone, I'm not.
No, right.
There's at one other time when they asked me to fly to South Africa and back.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, to promote
that.
the new route for the airline.
And I was like 23, and they were like 23, and they were like, there was a sales guy came up to me and he goes, South African Airlines or I think it was South African Airlines, is now flying from Hartsfield direct to South Africa. They're like, you would be interested in going? And I'm like, what's the deal? And they're like, well, you would fly to South Africa. And how long would I spend in South Africa? And they're like, oh, no. Don't worry about it. You wouldn't spend any time there. You would just fly to South Africa and fly back. And if, like staying in South Africa would have been better, by myself. And I was like, well, how far is the flight? And they're like 20 hours.
Oh my God.
And I said, and they were like, but you would fly first class. And I said, how much are you paying me? And they're like, $500. And I said, I said, there's no. And I was 23, and
$500 was like life-changing money. Yeah.
More than that, it was like I didn't know I could say no to anything. I felt like if I said no, like that they would think I wasn't a team player or something. But I was so panicked by the notion that I was just like, no.
Yeah.
And they actually stopped asking me because I kind of flipped out. I'm like, no, please don't make me do this. Like, I don't want to do this at all. I don't particularly I again. More then than now, but I was like, I really didn't like flying that much, and I had never flown internationally at that point, internationally, like across an ocean, or transcontinentally, I should say, and so I was like real panicked. Please don't make me do this. Please don't make me do this. And then, thankfully, like one of as what oftentimes used to happen was a salesperson would approach you, and then you would think that it was a big deal, and then you would talk to management, and they'd go, they asked you to do what?
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Okay.
Oh, well, there's one very quick phone call. Erica, go ahead.
No, what's up? So, yeah, Hardy, happy 8.5-year anniversary since we met down there at that rally in Raleigh when I was living in Hooter, Charlotte, working in that. I met you and Murray, and you guys were so great that night to me and everybody, but it's funny looking back and reflecting and listening to you guys talk about it, because even towards the end of the night when we were talking a little bit, I was like, oh, these guys aren't doing very great. And that was early. I know that was early in the trip for you. So it's just funny hearing you talk about it. And one thing, too, like you and Fred were just talking about, it's like I'm always so fascinated with the logistics and the lifestyle of, roadies and people that do that often and cleaning up bands' equipment at night and going to the next show the next day. It really makes you think about things. It's just,
yeah.
But you also remember that those guys are getting laid and those guys are like having fun and they're like part of a rock show.
Right.
Like every night there's like this tremendous event that they're at.
Huge dopamine rush for the show.
Even like the crew and stuff, like it's still and even if it's at a club, and I understand sometimes, but if you're traveling by bus, people are coming to the show. So, at night there's at least that thing like that like what this is why I'm alive, this is what I'm here to do. Like even if it's 300 people, they're giving you this energy and love, and if you're on the crew, it's kind of cool because you're like part of it, and it's like, I mean, there's guys that stay on crews for 30 years, like so what you did is 100 times worse. There was nothing. You were just riding it out until it was over.
We were almost at the end, and it was the last stop we had scheduled. And the Patriots, like 3 people on board that were doing like content creation, and they did amazing jobs. Like Murray and I had to come up with like bit ideas, and they would come up with ideas, and they'd shoot them, they edit them, and they upload them, and they were great. Like Robert Kraft came up to us at the Super Bowl. He's like, "You guys were great. You're funny. That was really good." But the last bit we did, we were stopping at a baby goat farm because Tom Brady, I don't know if you've ever heard this, Walter, is the goat.
Yeah.
And
Or also he had the baby goats in that. Remember? In
right,
that
GQ pick thing, yeah.
We're almost to Texas. We're in western Louisiana. We got one more stop to make, guys. We're stopping at a baby goat farm, and we're going to shoot some stuff with the baby goats. And just picture what a western Louisiana goat farm would look like. Mm-hmm. Number one, you've got it. Number two, after we stop there, there's no crowd there. This has been set up ahead of time. One of the goat farm residents wanders out in the middle of what we're doing with his banjo. Much like an 8-year-old girl would come out with her twirly baton because there's cameras around and this is her big break. Yeah. And he just kind of shyly in the background starts a picking on the banjo. I said, "We're going to die. We're not getting off this farm. We're going to be fed to these goats."
What do you think about my playing?
Like Deliverance.
Yeah.
I'm like, we got to get the hell out of Louisiana at the very least.
That area of Louisiana might be probably next to West Virginia, like Appalachia, to my understanding, maybe the most like westernized part of the country.
Let's call it underdeveloped.
Yeah. Like where you can't even understand what people are saying, and like, that's a whole thing.
They were really nice people. It was odd when we saw the banjo guy come out. We're like, what are we doing now?
Well, and there's also like and I don't even mean this as mean or like a joke. Like there's that like tooth situation that is like really disconcerting when you're in an area and like dudes are like missing like a lot of teeth. Like then you're just like, well, you're not taking care. Like you're not even getting the basic medical care required for a human being. Like your life, you're not living much past 50.
You pulled those front 2 teeth out yourself. Nice job.
I don't know if anyone pulled anything out. I think it's more of a situation. Just let it be. Let him be. All right. Well, good. I could listen to you talk about that trip. I really could. You could do 4 hours on it, and I'd be fascinated. Because at the time,
Jim,
I'm like,
honestly, if this station wants like more like digital content, Murray and I should sit down and talk about that trip and relive that
You really
trip.
should, because it is fascinating. It really is. Yeah, because I just remember being in a panic of I absolutely won't do this, and I think we talked about that a lot at the time.
I
was
remember
like,
the
can't
South
believe you're
African
doing it.
flight. I remember that. I remember that story. I don't remember.
Well, the South African flight was Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back. Not a lot happened last night, but we can talk about what did.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Having options tastes better with
we're Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened. So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lopresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. I did not watch, I don't know why I have to explain myself to anyone, but I did not watch the draft last night, so I apologize. That's indeed what we're doing here.
No, I was going to lead off by asking John, do we, and you too, Fred, do we want or need to talk about the Celtics moves, plural, whatever, last night?
Something in passing, perhaps?
Okay,
because we need to dive deep.
Wallach, why don't you just tell us, because you're the only one who paid attention.
Well, I know that I can just talk about it from what we've discussed on the air this week.
Okay.
Is that, there was this notion that they were going to get a center. We talked about how there were a couple centers on the board that people thought had potential to be at least rotational players in the NBA. The Celtics traded out of their slot with Orlando, and the Celtics ended up not getting a center. And the kid from Creighton went 2 picks after the pick they traded, and then the kid from Stanford went 42nd.
They did get a center.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Amari Williams.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
From Kentucky went 46th. Amari Williams played for Drexel for 4 years. That kid was at Bryant 2 seasons ago. I actually watched him play. So he's nothing more than, he has no shot to speak of. Decent rebounder, very good defensive player, but seen as a two-way player. And then at the end of the draft, they got this kid from VCU, Max Shulga, the Atlantic 10 Player of the Year, but only 6'4", about 200 pounds. A great shooter, but not exactly fleet of foot.
Oh,
so I don't know if he will find a place.
So short and slow?
Yeah. Great shooter, but you need to set a lot of picks to get him free at the next level.
Boy, is college basketball tough. Amari Williams is 7 feet tall, 262, and he had to play at Bryant. And not that Bryant's a bad program; it's a D1 program.
No, he played for Drexel.
For Drexel at Bryant.
Yes,
but still, that's 7 feet tall, 262, or whatever he was, probably at the time, 230, 240.
Yeah.
That used to be, at least they'd give you a shot at a big program.
Yeah, he started for 3 of the 4 years at Drexel. He was fine against Bryant. I think he had I was looking at it this morning, 12 points and 10 rebounds, but nothing earth-shattering that made me look at it and go, oh, my God, that guy shouldn't be here. He should be playing for Kentucky. So we'll see. They got a center. I don't think that kid's going to be your backup center next season.
John, I don't know if you know this, but Williams might not be as adept at making quick rotations as a rim protector or flipping his hips on the perimeter.
Okay.
But he has excellent physical tools. I didn't know if you knew that.
Yes.
And he was ranked among the best rebounders, as you said, in the country for his lone season at Kentucky. John, listen, if you combine that with his ability to trigger man in handcuffs and his ability to play above the rim on the move.
Yeah.
Hardy, and I'll add this just for your benefit, he's an interesting situational fit for some teams. Now, I don't mean to overly praise him, but that was my verdict on the whole thing. Ooh. Now, he's not much of a scorer.
No. Most
outside his ability to draw fouls thanks to his superior size.
Right.
You see?
Yes.
Yeah. He doesn't have any range on his jumper. And he never improved as a free throw shooter. He's a career 63% free throw shooter.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that, John.
I did not know that.
And he doesn't bring as much defensive versatility as scouts might have hoped. He struggled when forced to step outside the paint to cover ground and wasn't always great at playing with intensity or awareness, which is good for a kid that played mid-major basketball for 3 years.
Yeah.
That he didn't develop any intensity.
Yes, he is what's known as a rim runner. He's got the range of Robert Williams as far as his offensive shot is concerned. He's not a guy that can step out of the paint and knock down a jumper.
An interesting thing, and it's not about the pick, is that at that point in the draft, would you rather not be picked? Like it's second half of the second round, I would almost rather not be picked.
Yeah,
because then I can kind of choose where I want to go, because those are two-way deals, right? Like, you're not guaranteed a one-way deal that late in the second round.
No, you're not.
So, I mean, I would, at that point, rather just go. And one other thing about the draft is we were talking about Ace Bailey yesterday and how he didn't want to go to Utah. Utah had 2 picks yesterday. One of them showed up in Utah yesterday, and the other one did not. And that was Ace Bailey.
Yeah.
Ace Bailey did not show up, and the thing is which I love Danny Ainge, and Danny Ainge, I guess, has been saying there's nothing he can do to force our hand. So if he doesn't want to show up or he doesn't want to come, we're not doing anything. We're not going to, under any circumstances, bow to him, or he cannot force a trade. So we'll see how much this kid wants to play basketball, because if he just wants to sit there and not make NIL money or not make,
Yeah.
Maybe there's just a problem with the flights. It's not like, I don't think Salt Lake is a hub for anyone.
Yeah, it is. That's just ignorant on your part. So that idiot could have gone third, but he jammed his way to the 5th spot, and he ended up in Utah. He wanted to play for New Orleans.
I think it was Washington.
No, it was first. New Orleans, but it was Washington, Brooklyn, and New Orleans.
Yeah.
He wanted to play for New Orleans, where Joe Dumars is really doing a good job. Everyone's apoplectic that he traded the pick next year to move up 10 spots. It's just like, Jesus Christ. Grading the NBA draft is hysterical. Grading the NBA draft is funny. As much as football is an inexact exercise, the NBA draft is so dumb. I would like to see what some of these, like J-Dub, I would like to see what he got when he was drafted by Oklahoma.
Yeah. Seriously.
Major
story yesterday out of the NFL.
And here's what you need to know.
On Thursday, the NFL suspended former Baltimore Ravens place kicker and reputed perv Justin Tucker.
Okay, I don't know if that was necessary.
That's hammering the point home. That's not good.
Well, he's reported perv.
Oh,
yeah, they used reported.
You can't be sued.
Plus, they gave the fun, so that makes it okay. Adam Schefter, what do you have on this?
The NFL has suspended Justin Tucker 10 games for violating the league's personal conduct policy. Tucker is free to sign with other teams. He could go to training camp, but he will be suspended for the first 10 weeks. He issued a statement through his representative, Rob Roach, in which he said basically he disagreed with the NFL's assessment of the situation.
Well, it screws him because, a lot of teams were probably lining up to take him, considering he sucks now and he's got all this hanging over his head.
Right.
I mean, where was Justin Tucker going to play football this year? How desperate would you have to be to bring Justin Tucker in?
For a team that wanted a kicker who, sneaky, doesn't make a lot of kicks and also has a ton of baggage.
Well, Justin Tucker at one point was great. He's not anymore.
He's one of the best kickers ever. He is.
Well, but not anymore.
Not now, but he was.
And, they treat kickers as a liability anyway. They don't, to a point, I think, where it's a fault of NFL teams. Because I think they're good for a win. You get a good kicker, you're good for a win.
Yep.
Certainly, if you're the Jets last year, you beat Denver if you have a kicker. And but
NFL teams don't care.
And they don't care. And so there was no shot that he was ever going to play in the NFL again. No shot. So
Justin Tucker was allegedly involved in, during the offseason, contact with masseuses, asking certain favors. But in this particular case, he insists that he's done nothing wrong. He stands by his statement of innocence. The league went so far as to suspend him for the 10 weeks of the season. But Justin Tucker also said he's prepared to accept the league's punishment and move forward from this point on.
All right. Yeah, it was 16 different allegations from 8 different places in and around Baltimore. And I think the most recent one was 2016. So this happened a long time ago. Now it's all coming to light.
Isn't it odd that it's masseuses with these guys? Because that is I don't understand why masseuses, why that would be your kink. Now that it's 2 guys that are allegedly done all this. It seems more embarrassing than anything else that you're like,
right.
And then if it doesn't work once, Why would you keep trying to do it?
Why would you try it 15 more times?
Yeah. And the funny thing, well, there's nothing funny about it, but an odd thing about it is that, according to one of the women, or maybe a couple of them, when he was younger and he was doing it, he would come in like draped head to toe in Ravens gear, as if to show like I am a Raven.
Oh my God!
You know what I'm saying?
In case you're on the fence about this this whole enterprise and my offer, let's just remember who I am.
Yeah,
what I do. Right on. All right, something happened on the overnight last night on the Ben Maller show involving a member of this show. So we will get into that next, Fred.
That's almost unheard of.
I know.
That this show is brought up by a caller on Ben Maller.
Especially this caller.
Yeah, it almost never happens. And we might as well shine the light on him some more. But ladies and gentlemen, again, John's going to his in-laws, Hardy's staying home next week, and I am going to Hoover, Alabama. So really, we're already on island time. All right. So we'll be back. Here are the headlines.
Reputed perv.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Celtics made 2 selections last night in round 2 of the NBA draft. They traded back from 32 and got 2 players at 46 and 57. Kentucky big man Amari Williams and VCU's Max Shulga. Now that the NBA draft is over, it's time to focus on the NHL draft, which begins tonight out in Los Angeles. The Bruins have the 7th overall pick, and the Red Sox had last night off. They'll try to snap a 5-game losing streak tonight. Brian Bayo faces Toronto at Fenway Park. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Premier Basement Waterproofing. If you find water from the rain or your sump pump isn't pumping, call the best. 3rd-generation family owned by the Albert family. 844-LIVE-DRY or premierbasement.net. It's game over for water. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
For the best deal on tires, head to Town Fair Tire. We beat every competitor every day on every tire. Tire dealers, we beat them. Clubs, we beat them. Online prices, we beat them. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.
This is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, the Sports Hub.
I'll have that. You'll find out soon enough. You win the tickets and then you find out. All right, what's going on? This is the Wallach thing.
Last night, overnight. What time? Do we know what time this occurred? Was it sometime early this morning, or was it truly like still nighttime?
5:30. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, Blind Scott called into the Ben Maller show.
Can we talk about Ben Maller taking Blind Scott every night? Ben Maller,
he complains more about Blind Scott than we do.
Now, I don't blame him. He doesn't complain about. I mean, I don't blame him, but I mean that's kind of putting things in neutral. I mean, I wonder if he takes him at the same time every night, where it's just like, let's get this over with.
I hear it a lot when I'm here, and it did not this morning because I was working on something else. So yeah, it's generally about the same time. It's right around 5:30. And there are a couple of other callers. I can't remember their names right now, but and normally he's talking about you, Fred, but Blind Scott changed up the subject matter this time.
The Celtics are they're doing some type of weird game. Like the guy who bought the thing about the Celtics is this guy John Wallach. He's the backup announcer for the Celtics. We want him to be the radio guy next year for the Celtics because the Celtics fan, this guy Chisholm, he listens to the Ben Maller show. Maybe he's a Boston sports dude, so he might make a little swap.
What?
Thank you so much, Blind Scott, for that.
Wow.
Finally, John's name is in the zeitgeist.
Who knew Bill Chisholm liked me?
Yeah.
How about that?
So Chisholm is, in case he's listening and he was thinking about things, probably not so much concerned with Jason Tatum's Achilles or whether or not to trade Jaylen Brown or what to do with Al Horford and Luke Cornett. He's like, really? There's this backup play-by-play guy.
And the owner is intimately involved with who's going to be the radio play-by-play guy. I don't want to break the third wall here, but
now this is
the owner. The owner combs over tapes night after night.
Contrary to other reports we've received about who will be in that chair for the upcoming season.
We'll see you next year.
Yeah, because we've been told quite differently.
Yeah, I heard that live. Yep.
You know how I feel about all you guys.
Yeah, we do. We do.
I don't.
Said so.
The clowns on morning shows.
I don't really understand what I said that was off base. In your partner, Sean, heard the same thing. Sean Graney did not believe he was going to be back this year. That's just the way it is.
I want to be very careful.
And I don't know why he would even address it when I was right. It's fascinating to me. It's fascinating to me. People must have said a lot of stuff to him if it was on his mind when he was signing off this year. But, I mean, it was weird, and you did it on the air. It was worth discussing. You weren't in peril. You began to sob.
Well, Max was.
I gotta go pee. Yeah. The best was this year when Sean started signing off. Max just shut him up.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, he was just like, shut up. And then we had him on.
Everybody.
And then we had him on, and I'm like, why did Sean pretend like he thought he was coming back?
Aloha.
And he goes like, I don't know. I don't know why he did that. And then he goes, I'm with you, he said. That's what Cedric said. He said, yeah. I mean, we had meetings about John taking the job. What planet is he on that I was so out of line?
And I think you know that.
Aloha.
And don't you think if you don't have the other job already that maybe it's not a good idea to tearily sign off? Like, unless you know for a fact that you're leaving. Like, wouldn't you keep that in your back pocket a little bit? Like, maybe even do then you go like, hey, I appreciate everyone, like you're not retiring. Like, the idea would be that you were moving on to another job. So you would just, I don't know if I would tearily sign off unless the I's had been dotted and the T's had been crossed.
I'm a highly trained professional and deeply skilled.
I just thought the crying thing was weird. It kind of does bug me that he openly complained that I talked about that, as if I was making it up. I don't understand that. And I didn't even say what was going on, and I won't because I don't want to, screw the guy. But, like, we had – I thought about it, and I'm like, we had meetings. Like, there were meetings. There was this whole thing about RJ's taking the Bruins job, and if John gets the Celtics job, who's going to take John's place? These were open conversations in management's office. I don't understand why you would even bring it up again. Why you just wouldn't be like, all right, touche.
I don't want to say too many nice things.
Yeah, poor guy.
That guy in the morning show.
Yeah, you got dragged through the mud, and then you brought it all up again, stupid. And then your partner sat there and went and tried to shut you up and tried to save you.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yep, he just wanted them to stop. He wanted them to stop. All right. Well, someone who I hope never stops, and someone that I started listening to, ironically, that I now tune into a lot, is a band by name Eddie Trunk. Now, Eddie Trunk, if you don't know, he doesn't like to drive over 3 hours, but he's making an exception this summer as he's driving to Worcester because he's hosting an event of heavy metal cover bands, and then afterwards, the actual band Trickster, featuring one original member, will be doing a club appearance in Worcester that Eddie Trunk is hosting.
What did you expect?
Now, Eddie Trunk brings some credibility to the affair. That's why you bring Eddie Trunk in. He has a laundry list of friends. He has a Rolodex of friends. And one day I would like to explore that with Eddie Trunk because it'll be like Sean Faclawi, who I talk to when he's in Vegas, and he's talked to me openly about the chances of Dangerous Toys getting back together. And you're like, oh my God, name drop much?
Wait, on the record or off?
Yeah, I know. I don't know if you want to get into this. He does rock news, and there'll be rock news like Billy Idol, Whiplash Smiles coming out in vinyl in August.
The world I occupy, rock.
Yeah, not prog rock though.
No.
He doesn't like prog rock. I found that out the other day. But he has friends who do. Because he was talking about how he had a guest coming up that was in who has an autobiography coming out that was in a prog band that was very influential in the late 60s that I had never heard of. So I'm telling you, you sit down with two Eddie Trunk shows, you'll come out with about 5 hours worth of him dropping crap that you have no idea what he's talking about. All right, but let's do this. Caller number 10 to the contest line, 617-931-0985. We'll score a pair of tickets to Adam Sandler's 30-city tour. You're my best friend, courtesy of Live Nation. Tickets on sale today at 10. Visit tdgarden.com or Ticketmaster. Grab tickets before they sell out.
Got the date on that, too. It's September 30th at TD Garden.
Fantastic. All right, we'll be right back.
Aloha.
Toucher and
place last night, and instead of selecting one player at number 32, the Celtics opted to make a trade. Brad Stevens sent 32 to Orlando for selections 46 and 57, along with a pair of future second-rounders, and then picked Kentucky center Amari Williams and BCU wing player Max Shulga. Assistant GM Mike Zarin says the team was happy to garner future draft capital.
All the time we're looking for the ability to get more assets we can use in the future and still get a bunch of good players, and we felt pretty confident that there'd be guys we liked lower down in the draft, and we had the ability to add a couple of really good future draft picks in addition to getting those guys. So that's what we did.
Shulga was voted the Atlantic 10's Player of the Year last spring. The NHL draft starts tonight. The Bruins have the 7th overall selection. The League and Players Union are expected to announce a new 4-year labor agreement at some point today. Red Sox had last night off. They'll try to snap a 5-game losing streak this evening when they play Toronto at Fenway Park. And the NFL has suspended free agent kicker Justin Tucker for the first 10 weeks of next season for violating their personal conduct policy. He's been accused of sexual misconduct by 16 different massage therapists. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Veterinary Urgent Care Center. With 8 locations in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, VUCC offers compassionate, convenient, high-quality care 7 days a week. Walk in or book an appointment at veturgentcare.com. Veterinary Urgent Care Center, urgent care for your pet's urgent needs. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Start your day.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Work through your day.
What's that thing we do at the end of the show?
And end your day.
I'm not giving you an opinion. I don't know.
Right here, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
It's called rising and grinding.
Start your
Got
day.
your finger on the pulse, Fred.
Begin your
Seldom
day.
right and never wrong.
Right here. Is that Dutcher or is that Hardy?
Ina looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
What about Ronnie James Dio? You're on a desert island. Do you go with his Rainbow catalog, his Black Sabbath catalog, or his solo catalog? And then you have guys calling in with very, very strong opinions on these things. And the other day, last Friday, he had a call in on what call-ins he should do the following week.
Prep my show for me.
Because not every day will he get DJ Abaya or someone of that ilk, or the ex-singer of Mr. Big, who he will have on for like an hour. They can't always come on. Not every day. I mean, the other day, but he'll get like Satriani and Vi on at the same time, and that's just
Clear the decks.
Yeah. So he's like, look, this is what's happening today, so don't worry about it. And it was funny because the other day he had members of Styx on, but a couple of them could only do a little portion. They couldn't take phone calls. So he with the remaining Styx members were kind enough to stick around and take phone calls.
That's nice.
I'm guessing since he doesn't play any music on his show, if he has a guest in studio, they are also not performing. They're just there to chat.
Oh, no. They're not performing. No.
Now, Hardy...
There wasn't even an instrument on stage.
Hardy is under the employ of the satellite radio conglomerate, and you host shows that play music.
Yeah.
So there are channels that play music.
Well, it's interesting because after his show, oftentimes he'll move over to Hair Metal Nation, and he will play music.
Oh, okay.
But when he's on the whatever it's called that used to be the Opie and Anthony thing that now has Sam Roberts as their morning show.
Faction Talk, is that it?
Yeah.
Faction Talk. He now, and they've just said from 3 to 5, Eddie, you do this show based on basically 70s and 80s hard rock and heavy metal.
That makes a little more sense, so that at least he has a show where he is playing music at some point. If the channel he's on is a talk channel, that
it makes a lot of sense, Adam. It does. It totally makes
really
sense.
Trying to make this make sense.
Yeah, it makes
Fred.
total sense. Like
I'm really trying to.
Why not
it.
give the guy an international platform for his What Dio incarnation?
Yeah.
Would you like for 2 hours taking phone calls? Brushes with Greatness he did the other day. And a guy met, again, to go back to Styx, met Tommy Shaw at a rest stop and went up to Tommy Shaw's guy, and he was like, hey, can I talk to Tommy Shaw? And you know what? He could, and Tommy Shaw put him on the guest list that night. So, I mean, take it for what you want.
Rock and roll fantasy.
Anyway.
The guy puts in a tremendous amount of effort. every show, and I used to listen to it ironically, and now I find myself going, "Oh, Eddie Trunk's on."
It's appointment listening for you.
I believe they call that a compulsion.
It is. But again, if I can explain this, I'm from basically suburban Detroit, and when I was a little kid, the kids that were in high school were fascinating to me because they had mullets and bad mustaches and wore like jean jackets and drove muscle cars and listened to terrible, terrible music. And now the guys that call into Eddie Trunk to, participate in these debates are those dudes grown up. Like, I saw Black and Blue at the Pasadena Convention Center in 1978. Or I saw Dangerous Toys. These are real heshers.
Yes.
Coming out of the woodwork. All right, so what is the game we're going to play? I like this. If no one else does, too bad. This is fun for me. All right, what are we doing here?
What's Eddie Trunk talking about? Oh, yeah.
We are trying to figure out.
Adam actually very good voice manipulation.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we are trying to figure out which band Eddie Trunk is talking about. You've been given a few clips that you are to play with the identifying information bleeped out.
Now, last time you really threw me for a loop because you would not have the syllables.
Oh, yes, that's
true. I
true.
knew he was talking about Ronnie. I really thought he was talking about Ronnie James Dio, but it went beep, beep. So I was like, it's got to be Hagar because he loves Dio and Hagar. Those are of equal.
Sure.
Those are equals on the top of his
Put
chart.
your brain into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame mode again because this is
Eddie's incredulous
last
about that
time
affair.
he was talking about the snubs. This time he's got some takes on the bands that have actually made the cut. So
okay, is he angry?
In some cases, yes.
Yeah, because he's
in
never
other
heard.
cases, no.
He's never heard of a cast, as he pronounces them,
or a tribe called Quiast.
Yeah, he pretends like he can't say Quest, like he can't read Quest.
Right.
He hates rap. He is, and he pretends to not know who Kendrick Lamar is. And he does 5 hours of music shows. Like, there's no way you don't know who Kendrick Lamar is. All right, go ahead. What do we got?
You've got the clips there in your Vox Pro.
Oh, I do.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Here
so you
is
can
Eddie
start and
Trunk.
stop them at your will.
Is a band that I know even within the industry there has been a concerted push to kind of make happen.
Pick your words carefully, Eddie, because you're treading on very dangerous ground. This could go viral.
You're telling tales out of school right now, sir.
This is like the episode where you had people call in that had read Alex Van Halen's book.
Ryan Beaton also instructed not to cut out or edit any of the pauses.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Eddie loves to contemplate in real time.
Is a band that I know even within the industry there has been a concerted push to kind of make happen. It is beyond belief that I believe is only on the ballot now for the first time. And look, this is a band that has members with serious health concerns.
Yeah, he's big on, like, you're putting these guys in when they can't even perform.
Oh.
Like, these guys, like, it's too late once you put them in.
I have an answer.
There's more.
And as they say all the time, you want to make this stuff happen while the bulk of this band and these members can be there to enjoy the evening and participate.
Okay, I have an answer.
All right, you might know better than me because I have a guess.
Okay, well, no. Just based on it's a recency bias because I've seen something about this, and it may be way too mainstream for Eddie Trunk, but I'm going to say AC/DC.
No, it's Bad Company is my guess.
Hardy, you're wrong. AC/DC has been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for quite a while.
Oh, I went.
Fred's absolutely right.
Whoa!
This is Bad Company that Eddie Trunk is talking about.
Yeah, it's criminal.
I thought when he said put him out there, I thought they meant
who's Eddie Trunk talking about?
I love. Even when came out was.
Oh, he's talking about Liza Minnelli.
Yeah.
They were still different. they were still different in their retro approach. You know, remember when they came out, when was it, late 80s? I mean, they were swimming upstream against the whole glam hard rock movement that was happening. They were not that. They were a throwback to the Faces or the Stones or something. So they've always marched to their own beat.
Oh, I know.
They've always been unique in what they do. They've always had their foot extremely rooted in the roots of rock music. And they still do. And they're still making great new music as well.
Would you like to guess? Because I know.
Hardy, you're going to get. Just think on this. You'll be able to get this one.
Oh, Black Crows was my
That
first.
is the Black Crows.
That's absolutely.
Wow.
It is the Black Crows.
Formed a supergroup that includes the singer from the Black
yes,
Crows.
that's right.
Excuse me. And they're playing like theaters. I mean, you figure that they could be doing a stadium tour, but and he's got the rhythm section from STP.
You got a little Dean DeLeo in there? Or?
I mean, take it or leave it.
The rhythm section. Robert DeLeo.
Robert DeLeo and Eric Kretz?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And Robert DeLeo really hit the lottery because he's a good-looking guy and his brother's hideous.
So Steve Gorman is no longer playing drums for Black Crows?
Oh, no. Big and this isn't me doing like Eddie Trunk shtick in here. He really, like, they hate him and he hates them.
You know what Steve Gorman is now?
Sports Talk Radio.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Good dude.
Yeah, he is.
Met him at the Super Bowl.
Everyone seems to enjoy him. All right, more Eddie Trunk. I'm 2 for 2. Don't worry about it. This makes up for
kicking ass.
Your mistakes, really, the first time we did this.
If I was doing a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
only fingers crossed. Yeah. Now he's got a vote, so you know his fingers in the pie. He puts Morello on, and they gab about it. God.
If I was doing a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, no business anywhere near it.
So he does that a lot too. He's
come on.
Yeah, I mean
I mean, not to say she's not a talented singer.
Cyndi Lauper.
She's not a talented singer. Okay, all right.
It's not Cyndi Lauper.
A bit more. Oh, Fred's wrong. That was your guess. You blew your guess.
Damn it.
You blew
But
it.
there isn't one iota of rock and roll in pop, R&B, sure. There is nothing about that is rock and roll.
Is it like Donna Summer or something?
No, think more contemporary. Think a 90s artist.
They got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yes.
On
this most recent ballot.
I got no idea.
I wish I would have been paying attention. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Mariah Carey. I don't know.
90s R&B.
That's correct.
Wow.
That's right.
See, the problem is this is not Eddie Trunk's wheelhouse. This is Eddie Trunk talking about.
It's not your wheelhouse either, because now we're tied.
Why would I associate him with Mariah Carey?
But it is interesting, though, to hear him really get incredulous about artists.
Well, because it's not difficult. That's what he does every other show. Is he babbles on about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? There's no one who cares more about it. There's the curator of the museum could care less about it compared to Eddie Trunk.
There's no one that cares more about Eddie Trunk than you, and you are only tied with me in this game.
Mariah Carey doesn't count but that's not knowledge of Eddie Trunk. That's just knowing who's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's what's got you rubbing your face over there like you're Pat Calnan. Yes, no. That's a little inside. Sorry.
That's good.
It's still good though.
That's
Pat, I wouldn't. Pat, I'm very pleased to be in the same breath as you.
Got one more clip there?
All right. Yeah.
You nervous?
Tiebreaker.
Well, this better not be a Mariah Carey. This better be like Bad Company.
Y&T.
Y&T was the band I was trying to think of when I said Blue Murder. I was trying to think of Y&T.
Summertime Girls.
You know, yeah, Summertime Girls. That's absolutely true. You know, that was a Gene Simmons band. Mm-hmm. You know, they were as good as Van Halen, but you know,
sure,
they had a robot mascot that confused people. These are all conversations I've heard.
I mean, they're high on my snubs list. So clearly I got no problem there. I am shocked has not been put in before.
Ooh.
And we've seen just recently dabble in playing again with a different singer. Who knows if they get in, if that becomes a catalyst for more of that. You would think if does get in, and I think they will, third nomination. So they've been on the ballot twice in the past and passed over. That's crazy to me. But you got to think the wheels would be...
You keep thinking he's done speaking. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Let Eddie talk.
Crazy to me. But you got to think the wheels would be turning should get in who the guest singers would be. And do those guest singers lead to some sort of reunion of some type?
All right.
Now, context.
Okay.
This was recorded before the new class was announced. So this band has now been inducted. They are in the class of 2025.
Okay, so that only solidifies my guess. But ironically, I still don't think I'm right based on one thing that he said. But I have my guess. I'm locked in.
Okay, I have no idea who got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is in his wheelhouse?
It's a little bit outside.
Oh, yeah.
his
See,
wheelhouse.
I don't like this one. I don't like this one.
You don't like because you're about to lose.
I don't like it because it's not based on my knowledge of Eddie Trunk.
This is a
it's
band
just
that
based
started in the
Oh,
late
so you didn't get to
80s.
cheat.
And
yes,
had
exactly.
their-
My
had their-
knowledge of my test preparation doesn't count.
12.
Yes.
Soundgarden.
That's correct.
Oh, please. This thing by you. You got to go, who's Eddie Trunk friends with?
Right.
And he will be talking about like Y&T and how he's friends with the bass. And you go, when he's in Vegas, I see him. Long pause. We'll hang out. And then you'll go, ooh, Eddie. Okay. All right. So I don't like two of those. The Bad Company one I will take. The other three.
What you'll take is the L. That's what you'll take.
Yeah, but I'll take it because it's not in the spirit of the competition.
Take your loss to Hoover, Alabama, and think about it for a week, and come back and be better.
It's a good way to warm up.
Boston
and
Prime
introduce the
comes
bit.
up with some wins.
It's a good way to warm up and introduce the bit. But yes, moving forward, it'll be much more
it's a failure on your part.
In the wheelhouse of where Eddie Trunk is.
It doesn't give the audience a true representation of what Eddie's all about. Sure, the pauses and incredulous laughter was there, but these are bands that he doesn't. Soundgarden, Schmoundgarden.
Of course, Diddy's in jail now.
All right. Look.
He talks about everybody.
Curtis Blow or something.
Yeah, that's his rap reference. When he was talking about Outkast getting in, he was like Curtis Blow. I think I heard that. Curtis Blow. Again, this will not require much from you. He drops names. Even if he has a guest, you could go, what guest does Eddie Trunk have on? Because Eddie Trunk will talk to really obscure guys and then how long was the interview? That's another game you can play. Who did he talk to and how long was the interview? 2 hours. Who was it? Oh,
no one
I'll
you've
tell
ever
you
heard
who
of.
it was. Well, no, it was John Sloman.
Well, you'll have something to look forward to when you get back from vacation.
I mean, I love the Eddie Trunk game,
Yes.
but I mean, I got to call. I mean, if Mariah Carey's an answer, you can take that job and shove it. All right. Fluto Shinzawa, the NHL draft is tonight, and we don't know anything, as none of you do as well in our listening audience. Fluto does. We'll talk to him in just a moment.
Stay tuned for
Other guys that
keeping picks, trading down, trading up. And to be honest with you, I don't think anyone out there or us knows anything about these kids. Fluto, thank you for joining us, sir.
Good morning, Fred.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time. First of all, I liked your article about the extension of Mason Lowry. You made a point that he had a bad plus minus, and then you kind of gave reasons for that. But what was your feeling on that extension?
Pretty much market value, Fred, in terms of what Mason is now, but more importantly, what he can be, because I think both the player and the employer believe that there is room for growth. Obviously, there's room for growth defensively when you see how he played. Granted, perhaps in situations that ideally he wouldn't have been playing in this past season, just because of the injuries and the situation the Bruins were in, he got exposed defensively. But I think everybody sees, and we all see, like the size, the reach, the creativity, and I think one of Mason's strengths is that he has a short memory. Like if there's a mistake, then next shift, he's right back out there trying to push the pace offensively. So he's 24 years old. You see the platform that he has here, and I think both sides see, okay, there's still a pretty good projection in terms of where he is under his ceiling. So rather than committing to something long term, here you go, 2 years, prove it. Let's see what you got, and market price in terms of his $3.2 million salary.
Okay, so this draft is interesting. John had a nugget the other day about the lack of homegrown talent that's played any kind of real time for the NHL club in the last 5 years. So here they are at 7. They got 2 second-round picks. There's maneuvering that they could do in the past. You figure that they would look for existing talent. And I know Sweeney said that if they make a trade, it would be for a guy with term left, or runway, as he put it, I think. What is your feeling on how this team has to be built? Do they really need to use picks this year and kind of get back into the prospect game, or should they be trading for veterans?
Number one, I think, if you look at the prospect pool, let's just take their current situation. Who can you say from Providence right now is a good bet to make the team out of camp? I don't think you can say with any certainty that any of these guys will make it. Maybe Patra, perhaps. We don't know. Maybe the guy they got back in the Charlie Coyle trade, the Brandon Carlo trade from Toronto, Fraser Minton, maybe. Like he showed some signs of positive professional NHL contributions when he was up, but we don't know. It doesn't look like there's anybody on the back end that can make it, and certainly nobody in goal. What does that tell you? They're just so short on prospects. Like you look at the guy they took last year in the first round, Dean Letourneau, 1 year at BC and no goals. So they're not really in that position to be saying, okay, let's turn some of this draft capital, and they have some, but not huge. Like there's been teams that have 10, 12 picks per year. And they're not at that. Yes, they have 2 second rounders. Yes, they have 2 first rounders next year, but these are critical in terms of trying to restock what you have left kind of vacant in terms of trying. And you have to acknowledge the fact that why are they so short? One of the reasons is you trade 4 first round picks in 6 years just because you're trying to push and help the varsity, which absolutely you look at and say, okay, let's use these picks for Orlov and Hathaway and Bertuzzi that year, or Hampus Lindholm a few years ago. You absolutely understand, but there's a consequence to that. And the consequence is you are really short when it comes to prospects who could become ready. So this is an opportunity to restock, maybe even move back in the first round from that 7th pick if you can get additional draft capital. So, yeah, I think this is a pretty good opportunity for them to add to that prospect pool.
But how will Don Sweeney attack this?
Yes.
This is the highest he's ever picked since taking over the job he currently has. Do you think he will just try and hit singles? Do you think he will take the expected forward at the top of the draft to help his top 6 or top 9? Or is he going to try and get cute?
Well, you look at that 7th pick, right? When was the last time they picked this high? 2010 with Sagan at number 2, and before that, after that, Dougie Hamilton was at number 9. So you look at that gives you a baseline in terms of what kind of player you can get. Like, that's going to be a pretty good player, most likely. In all likelihood, not going to help you this coming fall, but give it a year, give it 2 years. This is going to be a top 6 center, top 4D, somebody that can really complement the Pastrnak, the McAvoy in a couple years' time. So you play this straight. Like, this is a good opportunity. And again, yeah, like you guys said, like, it's been a long time since they've had this kind of chance to draft an impact player. Because you look at the list right now that they have, we don't see any of those. So yes, you play it straight. I don't think there's any issue.
So, and I guess just kind of piggybacking off of what John just asked, Fluto, is what is your confidence in Sweeney's ability to make the right call at that position?
Well, again, it's been a long time. So, look, it's a lot easier and perhaps a more standard way to pick when you're picking this high at number 7 versus, let's say, I think it was 24 last year. There's just so much variance the deeper and deeper you get into the first round in terms of hitting on somebody. When you're picking the top 10, chances are pretty good that you're going to hit, regardless of whether it's a wing, a center, and perhaps they go for a D. Like we all hear, and Don's no exception, best player available. And that's absolutely the reason or the reasoning that they're going to take with the 7th overall pick. So you look at the history. There's not much of a history for Don just because he hasn't had this kind of opportunity. So you have to trust the amateur staff that when you're picking this high, the odds are pretty good that you're going to get a good player, and we'll see.
It's just that he screwed that draft when they had the 3 first-round picks.
13, 14, and 15.
You know, and it was just... Do you buy the excuse that he got put into the job, like, too soon, or I'm sorry, too late in the game, and that, you know, he didn't have time to maneuver? That was what Neely said. Does that seem legitimate to you?
No, regardless. Yeah, it was May. You have a month. Like, hey, let's remember that was a rookie GM. Like he had no experience of managing that kind of situation. So good on him for getting those picks in retrospect. For Lucic and Hamilton, but yeah, that's just you can explain it all you want. It's complete whiff, and look at the situation that they're in right now. Yeah, part of that is because of 1, 2, 3 whiffs, and then second round, yes, Carlo, but then Zaboral and Forsbacka Carlson, you didn't hit on either of those. So yeah, the execution, but it was a long time ago.
Now let's go beyond the draft. The free agency is right around the corner. Do you expect Don Sweeney to make a big swing or just try and fill out his top 9, top 12 forwards?
Yeah, it's a tough call just because as of now you have about $25 million if everything stays stable right now. But a big portion of that is for Geeky. And that's gonna be a tricky one just because of the history there or lack of it in terms of what Morgan has done to produce like he did this past season. So that might take some time, and there might be some variance on what the player wants and what the team wants, just because that's going to be tricky when the sample size is reduced. So you look at that, okay, you have an idea, okay, approximately how much is left. Somewhere between 15 and 20 million. Like, let's look at the roster, guys. You have 5 forwards under contract right now.
Right.
There's so many holes. So yes, you can say, okay, let's say, yeah, Mitch Marner, that would make a heck of a difference behind Pastrnak. But then what do you have left? Pennies to fill out the roster. And what do we see every year in terms of being a difference maker is depth, right? Brad, third line. on Florida versus what he was asked to do here in Boston. And look at the difference in the impact that he was able to make for Florida. So I would expect that depth is going to be forefront in terms of spending. They will spend, and we've seen the history. They always spend to the cap. But I think there are so many shortcomings on the roster. Right D, center, you're probably not going to be able to spend to get a center, so you're going to have to work around and get a wing, several wings, because you are far short of varsity help right now.
And just finally, you mentioned Marchand. You know, he's a free agent. What is the read on him around the league, do you think? A couple years, what kind of money do you think you're talking about? And do you think he stays in Florida?
Yes, I would guess that they find a solution just because such a good fit. Obviously he loved it there. Obviously the team loved him there. Relatively close to family back home in Nova Scotia. So yeah, and I was thinking, boy, Brad's going to regret not taking that 3 years or whatever it was from Boston, just because. But hey, he proved to everybody that he's got a lot left, and he's going to get term, and he's going to be a good bet to make that 26 Olympic team for Canada, which is such a big goal for him. And to check off that second cup box, hey, why would he, for him, why would you say, let's push for X amount more with whatever team or one more year? Like, this is, like, you make that work if you're the team and if you're the player. So obviously a great situation for him. And why would you mess with that if you're the player or the employer? So best of luck to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems to work out for everyone. All right, Fluto, listen, thank you so much for the time. I look forward to reading your reactions to the draft. I find it fascinating that in hockey they take 17-year-old kids. I have no idea how they can project their development, but here we are. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it, and I will be reading you as soon as the draft as it progresses. Thank you so much in The Athletic. Thanks.
You got it. Yep, my pleasure, guys.
All right, there you go. I like Fluto Shinzawa. He's I like the way he talks. You know that.
Yes, I do.
I find it soothing.
A special place in your heart.
It really does.
In addition to his vast wealth of knowledge, you're not above admitting there is an ASMR quality to having him on.
Yeah, I find him. He speaks with authority, so I believe everything he says, and then he speaks in a way where I find it believable and soothing. He's a double threat right there. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Round 2 of the NBA draft was last night. Celtics traded down from pick number 32. They got two other selections, 46 and 57, along with a pair of future second-round picks from Orlando. And then they took Kentucky center Amari Williams and BCU swingman Max Shulga. The Bruins will have the 7th overall pick in the first round of tonight's NHL draft. Red Sox had last night off. They've lost 5 in a row. They went 3-6 on the West Coast. Brian Bayo starts tonight in the opener of a 3-game series against Toronto at Fenway Park. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Best Ford. Looking for great deals on a new Ford? Go to the Best first. Best Ford in Nashua. Head to bestfordofnashua.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way.
is elongating.
Weekday mornings.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Like, let's roll the dice. Collectively bargaining. The whole thing with the NCAA is crazy, and I don't know how it's going to work itself out. But I am a little disappointed that they didn't do more. But I am more disappointed in people that are acting as if Steve Pagliuca or anybody. I know Pagliuca said that he would have paid that tax apron. That's so easy to say from the sidelines. Again, this was created because they knew owners wouldn't go over it.
Yeah, you're paying. If you're Steve Pagliuca, you are paying $6 billion for the franchise. And then you're telling me you're going to spend another $500 million on payroll for one season? We all kind of hoped. I remember in the weeks and months leading up to the sale, we're like, well, the only chance you're going to have to keep this core together is if Steve Pagliuca buys the team. But looking back on it, there's just no, you can't.
I don't know how long you could do that for. Like, as rich as you are, I just don't know. Because, the valuation of this team, I don't know how much above. It's one of the interesting things about the value of sports franchises is when it reach its peak. Because again, the Lakers sold for $10 billion, and the reason Jeannie Buss sold it is because she never thought it would be that overvalued again, that she would ever get an offer so far above what the team was worth that she had to take it. And I think Jeannie Buss, especially because that's so synonymous with her family and is really her whole identity, that and being married to the great Jay Moore, who does the Christopher Walken. And
it's a fantastic Walken.
And he used to hold a Klonopin in his hand while he was on Saturday Night Live because he would struggle with stage fright. So he would clutch a Klonopin.
And hope that it would seep into his pores.
I guess as like a safety net that he could shove it in his mouth at some point, and then it would take effect an hour later during the goodbyes.
Right.
Like,
good night, everybody.
Yeah, like a Klonopin doesn't, it's not, an IV drug.
If you start getting the flop sweats out there, don't worry, you'll feel great at the after party.
Yeah, exactly. It will only take you a couple drinks to get wasted. But so I am interested in just when these teams are about as expensive as they're going to be. So you pay $6 billion. How long? I got to imagine $500,000. You don't profit $500,000 a year for an NBA team. Well, I just don't think there's that much profit. So how long could you take that loss for? I don't know.
Well, two things. Brad Stevens said at his press conference before the draft, I never realized how tough these penalties were until they were staring me in the face a few weeks ago. And it bears bringing up again. The Celtics don't own their own building, and that takes away a mammoth revenue stream that most every other NBA team has. So, of course, you have to get under all of these tax penalties.
But even if they own the building, again, the NBA put these rules in place and these penalties in place so teams wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can just go ahead and go, like I'm going to pay a penalty that's equal to my payroll.
Well, the way I read it is the NBA's salary structure is so convoluted with the exceptions and the ability to retain players that you draft and the veterans and all this other stuff that they created this mess to the point where they said, okay, it's almost like we don't have a salary cap anymore. So if instead of rolling back all these rules, which everyone is used to and they understand at a front office level, instead of taking away those exceptions and exemptions and all those other things, we will just impose this horrific, really penalizing tax, and that will essentially get us back to having an actual salary cap again. Because the Golden State Warriors, operating under the same rules for a few years there, operated like a team that didn't have a salary cap anymore because they were able to keep all these guys and pay them whatever they needed.
And I think what it also does is it eliminates the super team, which is...
Well, that was the other point of this.
Yeah, which is a positive for the NBA because I don't think any of us liked, players meeting at the All-Star game and navigating their way onto teams. And how often did that even work? I mean, more often than not, it was a failure.
Well, I can't think of a team.
Celtics.
Well, the Celtics traded for these players.
No, I know, but that's the thing is that it's still a super team. Like
it is, but I mean, there's an important difference.
People can force their way. I understand that, but it's still I think it kind of controls the players. It being such a players' league to such an insane degree, where it was almost like. You were just watching people wanting to play with. Literally, you were.
No, you saw
watching
Kyrie
people wanting to
Kevin
play with
Durant.
their friends.
You saw Kyrie talking to Kevin Durant at the All-Star game in the hallway, and bam, they're on the Brooklyn Nets. Less than a year later, this stops that, and you make a very good point about it being a players' league. This is a way for the owners and the league, more the league than the owners, to take back control. You want to play with your buddy? Sorry, if you want to do that, you're going to have to make half as much as him.
And I'll tell you what, if I was an owner and I had James Harden blowing off team trips so he could go to L.A. in asking for the team plane to go to Vegas so he could sit at strip clubs, I would be a little bit like, we got to get this under control. Like, there's got to be I know if anybody on the station, if anyone listening owned the team, you would not pay that penalty. I've said that this whole time. Like, you just wouldn't do it. It's so ridiculous to ask someone else to do it. Like, you're asking someone, I would imagine, to take a loss on the season, and maybe a substantial loss on the season.
It's a massive loss.
And I'm not positive that the Celtics are ever going to be, with inflation and everything, worth this much money again. You can't say for certain that the NBA is going to continue to grow at this astronomical rate.
The only way that happens is if the Celtics get their own building. That's the only way they.
But he'd have to pay for it. I don't think it's going to be community funded, and that's $1 billion building.
Easily.
So I mean,
and I think
Boston better not pay for it. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, and I think what you're saying, Fred, is that just in the overall scheme of things, the NBA in general, not just the Celtics, like how can these teams continue to grow at this exponential rate in value when everything else seems to have. If not a declining value, at least things stabilize because of the huge amount of options available to fans now, whether it's to, watch via TV, streaming, different sports, you can access all this other stuff. How is it that NBA and NFL teams continue to grow at this exorbitant rate? Soccer, too. And at some point, at the very least, it has to stabilize.
Well, I'll tell you this, is that the streaming services, after a couple of these contracts, aren't going to be willing to just pay whatever it takes to get games.
Yeah.
Because at that point,
they're going to look at the same thing. How do we end up making so much money on this to justify the cost of the contract?
It's new technology, basically, and they need to get live programming, and there's no better live programming than sports. And so they're willing to pay way more than it's worth. But it's like when gambling first got legalized. They jammed advertising. Remember? Every pregame show was sponsored. That's really calmed down. So I'm thinking it's the same thing with streaming. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening.
wound up with two players in the second round of last night's NBA draft. Brad Stevens made an early trade with Orlando, shipping the 32nd overall pick for picks 46 and 57, along with a pair of future second-rounders. Then he selected Kentucky big man Amari Williams and 6'4" VCU shooter Max Shulga. He was voted last season's Atlantic 10 Player of the Year. And now that the NBA draft is over, it's time to focus on hockey. The NHL draft begins tonight in Los Angeles. The Bruins have picked number 7 overall. The League and the Players Association are expected to announce a new 4-year labor agreement at some point today. Red Sox had last night off. They'll try to snap a 5-game losing streak tonight when they host Toronto. And another baseball news, former Tampa Bay shortstop Wander Franco was given a 2-year suspended prison sentence yesterday in the Dominican. He was found guilty of relations with a 14-year-old girl when he was 21. The girl's mother was sentenced to 10 years in jail on charges of sexual trafficking, trying to extort cash from Franco afterwards, and money laundering. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by 128 Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric, the company that finishes every job strong. If your home or business has a plumbing, HVAC, electrical, or drain issue that can't wait, you need to call 128 now at 888-CALL-128. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Get the app.
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app. Fred, what's it like to work with Hardy and Wallach?
What a golden ticket I've gotten.
There you have it. Toucher and Hardy resumes on the Sports Hub.
We are Toucher and Hardy. I mean, if you are a Dangerous Toys fan, you're already listening, but you can watch us on YouTube. And the reason we're playing that great band is Hardy. I saw these emails too. We were bombarded by press releases.
Well, this is a press release from the organization known as Watch World Against Toys Causing Harm Incorporated. And these are their top 10 summer safety traps. Not tips, but traps for 2025. And these are tips to keep kids safe. And their safety traps are associated with toys and outdoor recreational products. So each one of these has a pithy title to it. I'm going to give you boys the title to one of their safety traps, which include tips, of course. Mm-hmm. And you have to guess what either toy or activity is being talked about within the context of this trap/tip. You got it?
Okay, yeah.
So
All
I'll
right.
give you the title, and then you guys got to figure out what it is that is so dangerous that they could be talking about.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 1, don't let it fly. Don't let it fly refers to what dangerous summer toy, item, or activity?
I think this would be great if it was like a Frisbee. That would crush Hardy's soul. Oh, I'm sorry, disc. I think that would crush Hardy's soul.
I think it's Wallach. Don't let him fly. Let him drive that minivan to Philadelphia.
I mean, he's going to fly into that window because he knows he's got a trip to the in-laws. Are you driving to Philadelphia?
No, flying.
Oh,
Flying.
Someone's got some pocket money.
Yep,
Someone
flying
got
this
paid
time.
today.
Flying this time.
Yeah, good for Johnny.
Yep.
Taking an aeroplane.
Well, one drop of rain and we're going to be an hour and a half late. So I don't know. We'll see how it works out.
Well, you know why it's hard to fly into Philadelphia. Air traffic.
When you get up in a plane and the pilot starts climbing, do you just look out the window, shake your head, and say, he's doing it all wrong?
No, I get nostalgic.
Don't bank to the left, idiot.
He's like, if you put this thing in a tree, that's fine. I got all the used gum I can find and sticks. He's like, I can live up there for a month.
Don't let it fly. What does that refer to?
All right, don't let it fly. Of course, that would be urine.
No, incorrect. That would be beach umbrellas. Now, some of these facts that they give are quite dark, and I don't want to get into them, but I'll give you one of the lighter ones. In 2022, a woman died when an umbrella pierced her chest in South Carolina. These aren't isolated freak accidents. Nearly 3,000 people visit U.S. emergency departments every year due to umbrella-related incidents.
Well, you have no reaction time. I mean, you would have to assume if that umbrella's coming, it's rather large. You got to snatch that thing out of the air. It's not exactly catching a bullet.
It's coming at you like a lawn dart.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a huge, it's a huge lawn dart. You just grab that with your hand. I'll tell you. I never felt, the first time I felt old is the first time my son was like a baby and we went to Newport And, as most new parents, we brought a house worth of gear to protect the child.
Of course, of course.
And one of those things was like an umbrella. And who the hell ever brings in their 20s an umbrella to the beach? I mean, fool. And so I don't know how to get this thing in the sand. And I jam it in the sand, and it blows over to these girls. And there's three girls in their early 20s laying out. And here comes the umbrella, and I walk over, and they're like, "Oh, sir, this is your umbrella." And I'm like, "There we go.
There it is.
There we are."
So
That's
they recommend that you put the umbrella down in windy conditions and anchor it safely. Okay, very good.
How? They don't say how.
Yeah. Yes.
With cement?
No, with equipment that meets ASTM 53681. And remember, voluntary standards may not always be fully enforced. In some cases, may reflect baseline recommendations rather than comprehensive safety measures. So
this is the Lord's work. Yes.
You tinker a little bit. You come up with your own securing measures.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
At your own peril.
Number 2, playing in the dirt. Why is playing in the dirt so dangerous? What would you play with in the dirt that could be dangerous?
Well, I mean, as we've learned, playing in the dirt is the key to Dan Lifshat's health. I mean,
That's right.
It has all those wonderful minerals that get absorbed by your body through the bottom of your feet.
No, something that you use to play in the dirt with is actually dangerous.
A small bucket you could suffocate in.
No, nah, stupid. That's not it at all.
Okay.
I would say you could be impaled on a shovel.
You know what? Fred's closer. It is the actual kids' garden tools and toys. Dangerous because they've been recalled for having lead paint.
What is this, 1942?
Another chemical that
I find that very difficult to believe that they're using lead paint in children's toys.
Were we living in Pleasantville?
China.
But China,
the stuff that comes from China.
I blame. Finally, RFK Jr. is here to sort some of this stuff out. There's still lead paint on things that they sell to children.
Oh yeah, the Chinese, some of the look. They already gave us the China virus, so we have to be careful about what we say about.
I used to let Nick play with just lead. I said, Nick, here's a big thing of lead, and you're still out it against me.
Check all garden play sets for sharp edges.
You say that's why you're dim. You blame me for being dim.
That's why you're thick, and I just don't mean in your rump.
You're kind of slow. I used to say, Nicholas, here's something you can't pick up. It's a big brick of lead. You're a little slow. And now that's why we don't talk.
Check the recall status of these gardening toys at cpsc.gov/recalls.
No, it rolls off the tongue. Child Protective Services?
We're not sure. All right, number 3, false sense of security. What would give you a false sense of security when it comes to kids and summer fun?
Well, that windowless van seems very comfortable. I mean, they have puppies in it. I mean, whoever is taking care of a puppy certainly is harmless. I mean, there's candy all over that sumbitch. The guy in the overalls that seemingly has nothing on underneath them. That's lingering around.
The van where somebody has affixed an empty pizza box and written crudely in Sharpie, "Free puppies."
Yeah.
And duct taped it to the sliding door.
So this is in a false sense of security.
False sense of security. What would give...
It's a product?
It is multiple products.
Oh, okay. A false sense of security.
I'll give you a hint.
I think I might know.
Okay.
Is it one of those like pens?
No, it increases the risk of drowning. These things give you
floaties.
Exactly. Yes. All kinds of floaties.
In all seriousness, you should not give your kids floaties.
The water wings, the floaty unicorns, the stuff that looks like fun. They are not actual. Non-drowning tools.
Not everyone has the means to send their kids to the JCC for swimming lessons. But at the JCC, they were firm
no floaties
in the no floaties rule.
Mm-hmm.
Small wheels, big risks.
Dan the Wagon Man. That's his slogan. Small wheels, big risks. Dan the Wagon Man.
Where's that commercial?
What's the big risk? With the
Falling in love with the guy who rented it to you.
I'd like to hear that commercial. Where's the commercial?
It's like a minute and a half.
Oh,
I know.
right,
It's yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. What has small wheels but can cause a big risk, Wallach?
It's like a riddle.
Hot Wheels. They have to swallow those Hot Wheel cars.
It's actually,
That walking Nick keeps kicking out of my hand.
it's not a bad guess, but they're talking about scooters, and they're talking about the 9-year-old boy in Las Vegas suffered life-threatening injuries riding an e-scooter into traffic. Oh, no kidding. Now, what's the real issue here? Is it the scooter, or is it the fact that he rode it into traffic?
You're allowed to let an 8-year-old ride an e-scooter? That doesn't seem safe.
Yeah, I check with the parents on that one.
Yeah. It's like my friend who had videos of his kid like riding motocross at like 4.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, well, you wouldn't let him drive a car.
Yeah.
This seems far more dangerous.
Okay, here's one. Shallow, but serious. Shallow, but serious.
Oh.
Outhouses. You might think that there's treasure, and there is.
Can I make a serious guess at this?
Yes.
Small like puddle of water.
No, it's going to be a kiddie pool.
Yes, because everyone's running to the store to buy puddles of water for their kids to play with.
This is John's bird.
No.
I mean, he gets a puddle of water. That could mean 17 more miles of flight.
Only bathe in a dedicated bird bath that has been set out for you by either a homeowner
Preferably
or an establishment.
Preferably some kind of Greek structure of a child peeing, which were very prevalent in my neighborhood growing up.
Thinking of a small child falling into a puddle of water, my bad.
Close.
You can't,
my bad.
But that's God's gift.
What if you wanted to have a dedicated puddle of water for your kid to splash around in?
Kiddie pool.
Thank you.
I said that.
You did say that.
Fred. All right. Well, you said puddle 9 times.
I'm
kept saying
sorry.
puddle.
I threw you off the scent. My apologies.
kept saying puddle over
When
and
you
over
got a little
again.
kid, though, they really freak you out about that, like little amount of water. Like, You got to keep an eagle eye on these kids. They're pretty dumb. They end up face down in the water.
And again, the stories listed here are horrific.
Right. Well, that actually happens. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't. Right. A big thing about being a parent is if you have little kids, you can't just go, oh, there's very little water.
Exactly.
There's no end to how dumb they are. I mean, they could end up face down in that thing, and you don't know what you get. I mean, I won't let my 17-year-old in one.
Dang, splash pool ain't deep enough.
Dad, I can't even swim in this thing, but it's certainly cooling me off.
It's cooling off my ankles and my buttocks.
He hears I have a smoke alarm that's you. I know it bothers you. It bothers some people that come over. It's 15 feet in the air in my garage, and his room is on the. So it's his room is 2 floors above it, and he says that he has to put on white noise because he goes, that dang
electronic bird
is beep 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 birds.
Okay, 2 more high flying hazards. What is what could be
angel dust?
And okay, PCP, germ, ill.
Yeah, get freaky. What is a high flying frisbee?
There you go.
Kite.
No, this isn't supposed to fly. That's why it's a hazard. It's something that can fly when they're not supposed to.
Now I can only think of the episode of The White Shadow where the girl jumps out the window believing she can fly. I mean, angel dust enters that school, and there's like in one day, like 5 kids die.
People are dropping like flies.
Yeah.
The entire episode.
I've smoked angel dust, and I got to tell you, not a fun experience. I don't know why people do that voluntarily.
This refers to, and you see them a lot on videos, something gets caught by a gust of wind and thrown in the air. It's like, wow, that's an awfully big structure to be flying around like that.
Oh, okay. A big structure to be flying around like that.
That a kid would be inhabiting or using or playing in.
A trailer.
A tent?
No, it's not a tent or a trailer. Bouncy houses and trampolines.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly susceptible to being picked up by the wind and thrown about.
I had a bouncy house in my backyard, We use the hell out of it too. My suggestion is if you have $700, it pays for itself. That's not a sarcastic comment.
Oh, no. I know people who have done it. All right, last one. Germs in the mist. Now, where are there germs in the mist that could pose a hazard to your child this summer?
Bathrooms.
Actually, much cleaner than you would think because they get cleaned multiple times a day. Like the bathrooms here, probably the cleanest thing in this whole building.
I would. Well, there's someone consistently
It's a lot cleaner than this
crapping.
studio, I guarantee you.
That's probably true.
I don't know. They did a Mythbusters where there was poo all over toothbrushes and stuff.
Huh.
Yeah.
Nicholas!
Germs in the mist.
You're using poo!
Not going to get you off the poo. So, yeah, man, you're right.
You're not- no, I'm digging.
Community splash pads have triggered nearly 11,000 illnesses
Yes,
and 152
community splash
hospitalizations.
pads.
Invisible.
That's what they used to call my place, the community splash pad. Water sports.
Invisible pathogens can thrive in the water, especially
Yeah,
in
big deal.
poorly maintained or
Yeah,
recirculated
man.
systems.
Yeah, I'm a child of the 80s. We had splash pads. Hey, come on over. We got a bunch of Germans.
How about this? Dozens of kids were hospitalized in Kansas in 2021 after getting sick from a splash pad at a wildlife park. Oh, really? The splash pad at the wildlife park wasn't sanitary?
First of all, what's a splash pad?
Like at a playground, you'll see, like a lot of times right next to the playground, water's shooting up out of the ground.
Oh, get out of here with that. I mean, please. Sure. I mean, you could, it's like the peanut butter thing.
20 years ago,
Kids have to be exposed to germs, let's be honest.
20 years ago, New York, 3,800 kids got sick from something called cryptosporidium at a splash pad.
Who was the second baseman for the A's, the white guy with the mustache, on those great A's teams? He played for the Braves for a minute. Weiss?
Walt Weiss.
Walt Weiss. His kid got sick it was a big deal when I was in Atlanta. His kid got sick at because there was poo in a water park. That there was fecal matter in a water park. But I said to them, it's Wednesday night. What'd you expect? So there you go. All right. Well,
I feel much safer.
Well, I certainly wouldn't avoid splash parks. I'm sure there's a way you could get sick, but I mean, splash parks, that kills an afternoon, and that's free. So I call that into question.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Later on in the show, I'll because I just closed it out, but I could. I can tell you right now the ways to guard against that, because the splash pad. Short of going to a pool or something like that, that is a good way to cool off. They say, ask how the water is treated and whether it is recirculated or single pass.
Yeah, you just go up to the guy that runs the place, and
up to the 17-year-old that's
right.
kind of keeping an eye on your kids.
Or
but
how
not
about
really.
there's no one there?
If you
went to the one in Brookline, there's no one there. We lived in Brighton, and there was a thing in the community playground. There's no one there. It's water coming out of the faucet. Who cares?
Check if your local pad has a history of outbreaks or inspection issues. There you go.
Mm-hmm. In my pad, we're unlicensed prostate inspectors.
I think they have one at the pool where my son is working this summer. By all means, if you see him, go up and ask him all kinds of technical questions. He'll have all the answers right at his disposal, off the top of his head. He won't panic.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. We lived on Hobart Street in Brighton, and there was this thing that you could push a button and water would shoot out. And my son would, because my son lived there with us. That was before he moved out when he was 5 and 6, and then he came back.
Sure.
He emancipated himself for a little while there.
That did sound strange. Yeah, my son lived with us when he was 5.
We moved. My daughter was born the day after we moved to Newton. So but he lived in Brighton, and so when he was a toddler, we had this thing that you would press, and the water would shoot out, and it was of great joy to him.
Yeah.
I never thought of having to ask the mayor how that was operating. But that's my own folly as a parent. All right, we'll be back. Jay King will join us. He can talk to us about the Celtics, the draft in general, and a bunch of other stuff.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
On a very consistent basis now. He's very kind to do that. He covers the Celtics for The Athletic. Hi, Jay King.
You don't think Hugo Gonzalez is a big splash?
I mean, I love his intensity, and I've only seen a handful of Real Madrid games this last season.
He made great cuts.
Tuned in?
He made great cuts away from the ball. That's what he does.
Well, that's what it's all about now. Is
Yeah.
cutting.
Yeah.
I mean, if you heard Brad Stevens, it's all about cutting.
Yeah.
So, were you surprised that the Celtics, with where they are and the salaries they have to move, that they weren't more active before the draft?
No, look, the Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis trades shed enough money to put them in a pretty good position financially. They're under the second apron, and so that was one of their goals or objectives heading into the offseason. They did that pretty quickly with just 2 trades. They were able to do it pretty painlessly too. Obviously, losing Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis is going to hurt, but you did it without having to get rid of other assets. You did it without having to trade Jaylen Brown or Derek White. You haven't traded Sam Hauser, at least as of now. And I get the sense they're optimistic about keeping him. But I do think that more trades are coming. Like I think you could see them flip Anthony Simons and try to continue shedding salary and get out of the luxury tax entirely. And I think if you do that now, it's smart because Jason Tatum is hurt, and you have a chance right now to get under the tax, get out of the repeater tax if you stay under the tax for the next 2 years. And I know it's not probably fun to talk about on the radio, but doing it now when Tatum's hurt is a great opportunity to kind of give yourselves flexibility moving forward.
I'm glad you brought up the possibility of flipping Anthony Simons, because I almost caught myself like in mid-Simons discussion the day after the draft, talking about how he would fit in and, what he's going to do. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, wait a second, who are you to say he's even going to play? So what do you think the percentages are that he actually gets moved?
I wouldn't be surprised at all if he never plays a game for the Celtics. The reality is that right now they're, about $15 million above the luxury tax, and he has a $27.7 million expiring contract, I believe. It wouldn't be too painful to move that, and I think that's going to be something the Celtics want to do. Look, he's 26 years old. He can really score. He's a gifted playmaker. He can really, really play offense. But I don't know if the Celtics envision him as part of their future. When Brad Stevens the other night, said their core, obviously you can't talk about the Simons acquisition yet, but I don't think it was an accident that he said their core guys on the roster right now are Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, and who was the other one? Whoever the other one was. It wasn't Anthony Simons. I think they look to trade Simons. I think they're going to continue shedding salary and get out of the luxury tax entirely, just because this will be their best opportunity to do so, with Tatum expected to miss at least much of next season.
But I'll ask you the same question we asked Chris Forsberg a couple of days ago before the first round of the draft. Who are the forwards on this team? You get rid of Simons, great. You needed a center last night. You really didn't get one. So, and you still don't have Al Horford or Luke Cornett signed, and you need to pay both of those guys who are going to make some money. So, who's the center, and how are you going to sign him?
I think the 2 guys you just mentioned, they're going to try to sign Luke Cornett. They're going to try to sign Al Horford, and to do that again, you're going to have to shed more salary. So that's why I think that they're not done moving. This is definitely a fluid roster situation. For the first time in Brad Stevens' tenure, he's got to think about something other than putting the best team together. And right now, after the first round of the draft, he must have said that they want to address flexibility like 12, 15 times. And that's one of their priorities right now, probably their top priority. And then the other priority that he said is trying to re-sign Cornett and Horford. So if you do that, your front court's in a pretty good place. If you can't sign one of those guys, then you could be in a little bit of trouble in the front court.
Okay, let me ask you this: there's people saying that the Celtics, they should have kept the team together, that it was only a financial concern that they kept the team together. When the league made this penalty for the second apron, it was to dissuade, people from keeping that kind of salary. Is it realistic to expect an owner to pay that tax?
No. I mean, maybe like Ballmer could do it in Los Angeles because he has probably the deepest pockets in the league. Maybe the Lakers' new owner, who obviously has spent a ton for the Dodgers. But realistically, the Celtics, to keep their roster together, it would have been $500 million this season in payroll and luxury taxes. And that's just not feasible. There's nobody who can afford that and afford that for multiple years. So this repeater tax, once you get into it, it is a very, very harsh penalty. And I think we're going to see a lot of teams, great teams, break up just because you can't afford to keep a team together. I think that kind of stinks. I think that is a bad idea by the NBA. If you look at the entire history of the league, dynasties push it forward. The Bill Russell Celtics, they pushed it forward. When it was Celtics versus Lakers throughout the 80s, that pushed the league forward. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant and Shaq, Lakers, all the dynasties in the league, that's what built it. And the fact that the league is probably losing a lot of that, I think this is a bad idea. But that's what teams are going to have to deal with. And Celtics are really the first team to deal with it because they were the ones that had their roster together. They won the championship under the CBA, and now they're the first team to deal with the harsh repercussions. And it's really, really restrictive. And those tax penalties, nobody's going to pay those. So it's not just the Celtics.
But Jay, is it about the league not wanting the dynasty, or is it about the league trying to regain some control of the salary cap? Because for a while there, it seemed like the salary cap was pretty optional, with penalties, and albeit, they were pretty severe. They're not as severe as they are now. So do they really not want dynasties, or do they just want to have a real cap again?
I think it was probably the latter. Look, dynasties are good for business. Right. And when the Warriors and the Cavaliers were meeting in the finals every year, I think some people were thinking, the Warriors are too good. It's Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. Nobody can touch them. It's like, look at the ratings.
Yeah. And I understand, like, one begets the other. If you're going to have harsher penalties on the salary cap, that is probably going to limit the dynasties. But I think in their perfect world, the NBA would say, yeah, every team can spend the same, and no one's allowed to outspend the other. But if we still have a dynasty, that would be great. That's probably what they would like.
Yeah, and so I think this was to curb spending a little bit. And I think it's going to do its job. Like, I don't think there will be too many teams that will be over the second apron for more than a couple years in a row, because that thing is very, very, very hurtful to the owner's pockets.
Yeah. So if you pay $500 million out in salary and penalties and everything, do the Celtics, do they have a $500 million profit a year? Again, I hear people talking about it. You already said that it wasn't feasible, but is that a penalty that owners just can't, they really can't afford it, because that would mean they were losing money?
Yeah, and losing a lot of money.
Okay, there you go. All right. Yeah.
Obviously, I think some years if you operate at a loss, that's okay, because you look at the franchise valuations, and they're skyrocketing. Even from the Celtics sale to the Lakers sale, and I know the Lakers are probably, outside of maybe the Knicks, the most appealing franchise, especially after getting Luka Doncic for not much. But it goes from $6 billion rather to $10 billion, and so the valuations of the franchises keep rocketing. And so if you operate at a small loss, yeah, fine, you're going to make that up in the back end tenfold. But I think having just cash flow for spending $500 million in a year, there aren't many guys who have that. Not many franchises who will have that type type of pockets.
Yeah, and I just wonder, we were talking about this earlier, when these, I mean, Jeannie Buss obviously sold the Lakers because she felt that was the most over the value of the franchise that she was ever going to be offered. So I just wonder, there's inflation and things like that, but I just wonder, like, if the Lakers would ever be sold for that sort of, overvaluation again, like if the perceived value, if that will ever happen again. Because there has to be a point where it stops. I mean, there just does. And so it will be interesting. I mean, when private equity gets involved, I understand it's a whole different ball game, but they still need to make money. All right, look, Jay King, thank you so much for the time over the last couple of weeks. If nothing happens, enjoy your time off, and we look forward to talking to you in the future.
Oh, things are happening, guys. Things will be happening.
That's right. And you know what? You were undervalued as a high school player. You were
yes.
I was
did
slow
not
and methodical white guy.
Yeah, but you had gone off for over 20 in that game, and
It's
you know what?
Charlestown,
Sometimes it's about production.
It really is. It's too bad.
It's all about production.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And I don't like the racial component of what they said about you. Unfair. All right,
it was true. It was true.
All right. Well, you are white, but I mean, dude, the kid that wins the dunk championship's white. We're winning everything. All right, Jay.
Yeah, he's not in the NBA though.
No, he's not. He can jump high though, and he's short. All right, Jay. Thank you so much for the time. All right,
Take
there
care,
you go.
guys.
The great Jay King from The Athletic. We will return in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Second round of the NBA draft took place yesterday evening. The Celtics traded down and got two players, Kentucky center Amari Williams and VCU wing Max Shulga. The NHL draft will start tonight. For the Bruins, that means the 7th overall selection in round number 1. The league and the Players Union are expected to announce a new 4-year labor agreement at some point today, and the Red Sox had last night off. They'll try to stop a 5-game losing streak this evening when they open up a 3-game series against Toronto at Fenway Park. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Vision. Make 2025 the year you ditch the glasses and contacts and start seeing 2020 with a LASIK procedure from the team at Boston Vision. Book a free evaluation today at bostonvision.com. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Men.
not doing anything wrong, but he was just standing by the window with his hands in his pockets, looking out the window. He would get up during every break. And I finally said, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Dude, I can't wait for Christmas vacation." And I'm like, "Oh yeah?" I'm like, "You going?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're going away, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "Philadelphia." I go, "What's in Philadelphia?" He's going in the in-laws' house. I'm like, "Go Philadelphia in December at the in-laws' house." Boy, oh boy, can't wait to fly the coop. Can't wait to get out of here. Can't wait to get out of here. And it's funny because I can't wait to get out of here to get it over with. It's just not the show.
The sooner it starts, the sooner it ends.
Yes. Like, I'm just like, we'll get there, and then the clock starts. The Hoover, Alabama, the clock starts as soon as I get there. But my father's coming down. I had to give him.
Oh, it should be great. You guys can show up, watch batting practice. It'll be fantastic.
Well, it's there's no batting practice. It's a tournament, so there's nothing. But and my son's a pitcher, so there's a very good chance he only pitches in one of the games, because if he starts and goes a while, he's not going to pitch again. So there will be many games, because my parents were in town this weekend and they had a tournament, and my son pitched in one game, and it's just like, oh, so we're here watching other kids, and that's what I'm doing in Hoover, Alabama.
I don't know any of the parents. I don't know any of the kids.
Yeah, I imagine the parents will organize something. I would imagine, because that's what it was like in Charleston last year. I went to Charleston for baseball. That was a different group of parents, but the parents were all very nice, and we met up for meals because the kids wanted to do their own things. So you would meet up for meals, and that was fine as long as you can meet for dinner. Then after that, I'm fine. But as long as there's a dinner, and I can really show off my dad, that's what I'm hoping.
Right.
And we can get into the whole Tucker Carlson and his value to the world.
Sure.
We can get into that whole thing.
Have you scouted out the restaurants to see if there's anything worth?
Again, my going into this, I've got a hotel. I got the flights, the hotel, and the rental car, and everything else I'm just going to adapt to.
Sure.
I'm gonna just adapt I'm going to adapt to the situation. I'm not going to try to control the situation. I'm going to adapt to it. That's my strategy going into this thing. I looked out of boredom to see if there was a movie theater in case it rains, because then I can't imagine there's anything I would do with those parents for like an entire day. So I thought like maybe I would go to a movie by myself.
Why don't you find a pool hall?
Because I don't want to get hustled. I don't want to get hustled by a bunch of salty grifters.
Go shoot some stick.
Yeah, I don't want to. Nah, I don't need to be with those. I mean, I saw Rumblefish. I don't need to get into that kind of situation. Get a Matt Dillon crazy kid living upstairs. I don't need that. Nah. Because when I get out the balabushka, they're gonna know that I'm hustling.
Oh boy.
What? Okay, if you were forced to go spend time with other parents and you had to,
it wouldn't be forced.
No. But I'm just thinking,
I guarantee one's listening. It's not forced.
Well, yeah, but what does one do with a bunch of other adults that you kind of know but really don't know?
Dinner. That would be what it is. Is that everyone?
How about a dueling piano bar?
Oh yeah.
There's probably a ton of them where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, I am a big fan of Howl at the Moon. That would be nice. I love limericks, so maybe we could get that going on too.
Body limericks.
I did see that within this facility is like a multi-purpose facility, and there is stuff to do in there, and there's a Dave & Buster's close by.
Axe throwing.
Here we go.
Yeah,
go throw some axes.
There's a climbing wall, and my passion for the climbing arts. It's all about grip strength, and Lord knows. And I'm hoping there's some kind of cold plunge, so I can really go in there and alpha out in front of the people. If they think they're better than me, because they haven't been to the loony bin.
Hey guys, yeah. Before we head over to the skee ball, hold on. Give me 10 minutes here.
Yeah.
Well, 10 minutes. That's a cold plunge. We don't need 10 minutes.
And I'll go.
Oh, you don't think so?
And I'll go. Watch me, you son of a bitch. Like I saw you. I saw you showing off on the bench press. Okay. Let's go into the locker room and see who's a man. You get into, ooh, it's cold. Is it? Pussy. Is it cold? Because I'll tell you what, you say when, And then they'll get out and I'll be like, not even close. Stupid.
Do you remember the kids?
You can't handle being cold in the water.
Did you watch kids?
Does the nation mean any disrespect to minorities with its glamorization of the KKK?
No.
I mean, time doesn't make it. I hope they don't play that in the reruns or in streaming.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that there is some. They've in retrospect realized the error of their ways.
It is the Puerto Rican Day Parade episode of Kids in the Hall.
Because that in the Seinfeld the flag catches on fire and they can't show that one anymore. But I would hope that they've realized that there's a whole community of us that believe in the health benefits of the cold plunge and the massive dopamine kick when you get out. It's like 7 tons of cocaine. Right there at you. And all I had to do was get cold. Yeah. Sort of. Yeah. It's a lifestyle, but whatevs.
Bit more to it, but God, we don't. I wish we'd started this like at 7. Because we don't have time now.
And then they'll be like, we're closing the gym. And you're like, all right. I just want to get in one more time. We're closing the gym. All right. I know. We open again at 5, and then you're just pacing out in front of the door. Waiting to get back into the cold plunge.
A $400 a month gym membership. What do you do? Cold plunge.
Yeah.
What else? That's it.
I mean, I get out, get that dopamine rush, and get right back in.
Sometimes they get a smoothie on the way out.
And what's the problem is that it's never the same after the first one. You're chasing that for the rest of your life.
Right.
Just like I'm staying in for a half an hour at a time now.
Well, now you
got to get out.
It feels really,
I can't.
It feels really good the first time, but every other time after, you're just doing it to feel right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
That's how they get you.
They'll be like, get out of the cold plunge. And I'll be like, I can't. I only feel alive in the cold plunge. But I am starting to dread the trip a little bit. It kicked in today. But I will be leaving tomorrow for Hoover, Alabama. So when you lay your head down on your pillow in Philadelphia, just know that I am well south of you.
Yes.
In the beautiful city. I'll be staying in Birmingham.
Sure. No, you guys.
So because I'm an urban cat, I can't be in the suburbs. I got to stay where the action is.
How far away is Hoover from Birmingham?
I don't know, like 90 miles. No, it's like 15 miles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's still. Listen, did I get a rental car? Sure. Did I get a midsize? You bet.
Yeah.
Did they ask me if I wanted a compact? Yes. Did I say no? Of course.
I hope you got the satellite radio.
I can only hope because I heard Howard's bringing out the guitar this week. All right, we'll be back. The New York Times has an interesting list that I'm curious of your. I don't think it's too pretentious, so we will have that for you in just a moment.
traded down from pick number 32 overall. They got back picks 46 and 57, along with a pair of future second-round draft picks from Orlando to start the night. Then they took Kentucky center Amari Williams and VCU swingman Max Shulga, the Atlantic 10 Player of the Year. The Bruins, meanwhile, have the 7th overall selection in the first round of tonight's NHL draft out in Los Angeles. They also have a pair of second-rounders, numbers 51 and 61 overall. The NHL and the Players Union are today expected to announce the framework of a 4-year extension to their current labor agreement. Red Sox had last night off. They've lost 5 in a row. They play Toronto at Fenway Park tonight. And the NFL has suspended free agent kicker Justin Tucker for the first 10 weeks of next season for violating their personal conduct policy. He's been accused of sexual misconduct by 16 different massage therapists. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Albrecht Auto Group, Zoe's Auto Dealer. Purchase any new vehicle from one of their 8 dealerships and get the Albrecht Advantage, a 10-year, 150,000-mile limited powertrain warranty backed by Allstate Insurance. Connect with Albrecht at albrechtauto.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
A Celtics offseason full of big moves.
The Celtics traded 35-year-old Drew Holiday to Portland late last night.
News is breaking.
We got news, everybody.
Trades are taking place.
Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn had a 3-team trade today. Kristaps Porzingis.
And it all happens right here.
Another move is coming. I feel it.
Your home for Boston Celtics basketball 365. 98.5 The Sports Hub. What's the best way to listen to Toucher and Hardy?
Well, you're going to have to spend $40.
Cough it up, and let's get back to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
And I said, well, Tucker Carlson. He said, well, Tucker Carlson, no one cares about him anymore. I go, well, that's not true. And then I happened to be reading the New York Times, and it said in the reporting that the White House was interested in what pundits were saying, as is, the way of Trump. He is interested in what people say on TV. By all reports, he's got them on all the time. And it said particularly Tucker Carlson. So I screenshotted it and sent to my dad. And my dad said, yeah, but who are the sources? like I'm just supposed to believe sources in the New York Times? That doesn't fit what I said. That doesn't mean anything. These could just be any Yahoo's really just made up. I mean, because that would be in the best interest of the New York Times to just make up that they were concerned with Tucker Carlson was saying. Considering he doesn't work for them. That would be a big thing. All right, so the New York Times did a list of the top 100 movies of this century. 25 years, that is. You understand?
Yeah.
We're 25 years into this bad boy.
All right.
I was 25 when it started. I'm 50 now. Still going strong.
Look at you.
Doing my own thing.
Yep.
John hasn't moved once during that whole time. He's stuck right where he grew up. And so, and now he's like 70. So the good news is with this list, unlike a lot of movie lists, and this century, I didn't start watching movies at the movie theater until like 3 years ago, and I don't watch a lot of movies in general. I don't watch them at home, and I've seen a lot of these. I've probably seen at least 75%, 80% of these movies.
Okay.
But I haven't seen, and it's not pretentious. I will say that. I'll give you an example. Superbad is number 100. I think the 2 best movies of the century are Borat and Anchorman. They're both there. Borat's at 43. Anchorman's on it.
All right.
And you'll be happy, John. Moneyball's at 45 for some unknown reason.
Not pretentious at all.
No, and I just like this the scene of Billy Beane working out during the game because he needs to get his reps in.
He wants to keep a healthy distance from the players.
Rucker took Billy Beane and his daughter to a NoFX show in Boston, and there's never been a prouder moment in his life. All right, but I've never
Rucker.
I've never seen the number one movie. But if you had to say the number one movie in your opinion of the century, what would you say? Adam, yours might be number 2.
Wow. Alien versus Predator is number 2? It's impressive. I didn't think it would be that high.
No, that's not it. Smart ass.
All right. Okay. Wait. Okay.
It's probably. I bet you it's your favorite movie.
It's Mulholland Drive.
It's number 2.
Yes.
Whoa.
That's going to be number 2.
Yeah,
because I had to think for a second because that's a 2001 movie.
Yeah, you had to think in your own brain what your favorite movie is.
Well, no, it made Lost Highway.
This in the Eddie Trump bit. You're not going into vacation very strongly.
Well, I'm not going on vacation. I'm here next week.
Yeah. Well, you've used it all up. Maybe work here a little bit longer and you'll get more. But I've never seen number one. If you had to say what your number one movie of the century, your personal number one movie of the century, what would it be?
Pacific Rim.
Yeah, there you go.
That's not on this.
Oh,
Well,
I'm just guessing.
They did it wrong.
Well, if it's Spirited Away, I'd hate to spoil it for you because that's number 9.
Okay.
And that's anime.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah. Mad Max Fury Road is 11. I couldn't get through the first 10 minutes of that.
You know, I got no problem with Mad Max, and I love Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, so I dig all of it, but it's so freaking stupid. Here we are living in a world where gasoline is at a premium, so what are we going to do? We're going to build a car where someone's on top of the car playing a guitar that shoots fire that is fueled by gasoline. We're just
Methane.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's just this is stupid. I'm not watching this.
The City of God was very good, and that is at number 15. But if you had to say your favorite movie of the 2000s, what would you say? You're a cinephile as well as other files.
Thank you.
Not you.
Oh.
I'm talking about Hardy.
Yeah.
You're worthless
Oh.
in this. The Royal Tannenbaums is number 21, and that was a real riot.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess that would make the top 25. That doesn't surprise me.
That's something that you're just supposed to like.
I love it.
My
You do, don't you?
I do.
You
You
actually.
know I do. You know
why
I
do you
do.
like the fun costumes?
I love the first three, those first 3 Wes Anderson films: Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, and the.
I
Royal
wanted to
Tenenbaums.
like Bottle Rocket so badly, and it's so boring.
I like Rush. I
respect that.
love Rushmore.
It's his best film.
Rushmore is on this list. I think everything he's done is on this
Wait,
list.
Rushmore can't be because that was 98. I think.
Yeah.
But-
Well, let's just say it's on this list. Grand Budapest Hotel is 22, and the Royal Tenenbaums is 21. So they
so they did a little back-to-back
They
game
had some
there.
fun with
Yeah,
it.
a little fun.
Did you like that they wear the
matching
tracksuits?
tracksuits. Ben Stiller and his kids there.
Hysterical.
Yeah, it's great. Great visual bit.
Yeah, it's hysterical that they wore tracksuits.
Yeah.
Yeah, the attempted suicide in it is a real laugher as well. Yeah.
No, I don't find that funny.
Big.
I'm thinking about movies that I've watched a lot that have come out since 2000. There's a movie that pops up time and time again, and I'm kind of like blown away at how good it is Michael Clayton. You ever seen the George Clooney movie, Michael Clayton?
I have not.
It's fantastic.
And I am unaware if that is on here because I'm so unfamiliar with that film. Jonathan, what about you?
I always liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That is on here. That is in the top 50, even though it's the longest film ever on record.
Cut an hour out of that
It's
movie.
44.
Yeah, and I would watch it time and time again, but I just sit there watch it. I've tried to watch it again. I'm like, oh God, get to it. I understand you love the era, Quentin, but I don't need multiple scenes of Brad Pitt driving, listening to the radio.
All right, how about another
I tried to watch that on an airplane at least 5 times and never got through it. It's just plotting. I don't understand why people like that movie, as a matter of fact. I don't get what's going on that people are interested in. And I like Quentin Tarantino, but I don't understand what he's getting at.
Is that movie longer or as long as The Hateful Eight? Because those are the two I haven't watched.
The Hateful Eight is in the top 10,
I can't commit 3 hours.
Oh, no,
to a
Inglourious
movie.
Bastards is in the top 10.
Okay, that belongs.
Yeah. Inglourious Bastards. I'm telling you, you've seen most of these movies.
Fred, I have a question.
Did you guys ever see The Florida Project?
Nope.
No.
Oh, my son Jacob just watched that. He couldn't say enough good things about it. He says it's fantastic. It's hard watch, but it's fantastic.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because it explores why Crash got married. Would you like me to explain?
Yes, please.
All right, so it stars Willem Dafoe. It's like a documentary style film. It's not, but it's about a motel in Kissimmee, Florida, or like around there, outside of Disney, like outside of Orlando. And one of the things that's explored, like a hooker lives in it and she's got a kid, But one of the things that is explored is South Americans like are obsessed as a rule with Disney World. So there are people that show up to the hotel like on their honeymoon and the bride is like disgusted because it's such a dump. But that's how Crash met his third wife.
Third wife.
That's how Crash met his third wife because she was by herself up from Buenos Aires or Argentina. She was up from Argentina by herself and Crash liked the looks of her. And he got her to the front of a line because, of course, Crash had got himself a fast pass. And he took her up in the front of the line with her. And through Google Translator, they fell in love. And she came up 90 days later and they got married. That's how he met her. And
Crash version of 90 Day Fiancé.
So that's exactly how he
This really
described
is,
it to me
yeah.
before he married her. He's like, "Did you ever see 90 Day Fiancé?" I said, "No, but I have a feeling I know what it's about. Is it about people that get married 90 days after they meet?"
Okay. I'll tell you my favorite movie the last 25 years.
Anchorman's 85. Oof. You got to put that higher.
I've settled on one. No Country for Old Men.
Yes, that is absolutely on this list. I will give you the top 10 right now.
Okay.
I will not hesitate to give it to you.
Okay.
And I will start at 10. And you just tell me if you've seen the film.
Okay.
All right. The Social Network, of course, you've seen. They're
Yes.
making a sequel to that, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
And David Fincher is not directing it. The anime film Spirited Away, of course, is number 9. A little obvious. Get Out, which I've never seen, is at 8.
Never mind. I thought of something else.
Good
Go,
movie.
sorry.
What did you think it was?
You said.
It's my instruction to you right now.
You said. You said Get Out, and I thought of
Had F in it.
A horror movie that's
Did you?
flown out of my head.
All right. 7 is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Did not see it.
Which drove Jim Carrey mad.
Yeah.
No Country Old Men is at 6. Moonlight, which I would like to see, but I've never seen,
Never
is at
seen
5. Number 4 is a film called In the Mood for Love.
No.
Number 3 is There Will Be Blood.
Yeah. Okay. I've seen it multiple times. It is mesmerizing. I can't call it one of my favorite movies, but it is. Have you seen it, Fred?
I think I have.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater. It was when did it come out? I want to say like 07 maybe.
07.
Yeah, because it was one of those nights where, hey, I'm staying home with the baby. You go out and do whatever you want. And on those nights, my wife would go out with her friends. Me, what am I going to do? Oh, yeah. Well, let's go down to Moe's and have a few beers. No, I would go to the movies, and I went to the movies
Hardy,
by
we might have
myself.
seen that together, actually, because I have a similar memory. I think you and I
Did you
went and
guys
saw
get
it in
ice
the
cream
theater.
afterwards?
Maybe I saw No Country for
Did you
Old
see it
Men.
in San Francisco?
No Country for Old Men by myself. Maybe you and I did go see There Will Be Blood.
Might be.
Okay. All right.
As we discussed, Mulholland Drive is number 2, and number 1 is a movie I've never seen, but it's it's a big film, I believe.
Parasite.
Good call.
That's a good guess.
Good call.
That's it. That's
Is that
it.
it?
Do that.
That is number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
How'd you do that?
Because all of these critical darlings and thinking about movies that you're supposed to like love and everybody fawned over, and I watched it precisely one time and I went,
Yeah.
I loved it.
There's another movie in there you didn't mention that falls in that same category. What's the one with
How did you
Joaquin
know
Phoenix?
that was Parasite? I didn't even know what I thought Parasite was, that movie with Matt Damon about the germs, but that's not it at all.
no, it's Contagion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, same difference. How did you know that?
I just guessed.
That's
It was.
great.
I was just thinking of like the most like awarded films of the last. I didn't go back 25 years, but what was that? 5 years ago?
Yeah, a little more than that.
I've already passed it.
You were talking about being forced to like something and having it beaten over your head. What about that movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix?
Yes, that is absolutely on there. But I thought
Good
that
movie.
was good.
That's a very good movie.
Yeah, what did you not like about that?
Well,
Sean?
I'm just saying.
Could you just because you couldn't see Scarlett Johansson's fanny? Is that why you didn't like it?
I can't put
And
anything
by
you,
the way,
Fred.
why was Scarlett Johansson cast as that? Like that's if there was
wasn't.
ever a role for a big fatso, you why can't the voice on the phone be a fat lady?
She wasn't. They went back in after they completed it, and they swapped out the voice. They said the voice didn't work. They needed a different voice.
Billy West was the original voice.
Fred, was The Witch on the list?
I don't know.
Or were there any? Did you
Now
notice
you're
any
well-
horror movies?
Yeah,
So I'm just curious
I told
because
you
there's
Get
been some
Out was
really
on
good
there.
horror movies.
I already said it. Get Out. I said Get Out.
I'll
Get
out of
out.
here.
The Toxic Avenger is on here. No, Zodiac is number 19, which
Very
was
good movie.
The
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street was very good. That's at 20. Your precious Royal Tannenbaums that no one liked. That's the Sonic Youth of movies.
And Grand Budapest at 22.
Boyhood, which I will not watch because I think it would upset me too much.
Same.
That's the Richard Linklater film where he shot it in like
20 years,
like,
right?
Yeah, over the course of 20 years, and the boy actually grows up in the film. I don't need to see that. Her is 24.
Okay.
Even though John didn't like it. The Phantom, boy, Paul Thomas Anderson is really filleting a lot of these critics. Have you ever seen The Phantom Thread?
Nope.
That's a Paul Thomas Anderson film from.
I didn't see it, but I remember reading the summary and thinking this is going to stink. About some
The Dark
tailor or
Knight
some
is
crap.
28th.
No, that's good.
Hey, you want
Lost in Translation is 30th.
Oh,
What's
that's
She Whisper
great.
in His Ear?
No,
you don't know. There's no answer.
He whispered in her ear.
Yes.
Yeah, what was it? Who knows? Or did he whisper? Or maybe he was
You
using
said that was 30? It should be higher.
31st is The Departed.
Ugh.
Bridesmaids is 32. For Its Diarrhea Scene Alone.
Uh-huh.
Yes! Wally is 34. I mean, I could go on and on. But Hardy with The Parasite as
That's
number one.
amazing.
I mean, you could have given me a million guesses, and I would not have been able to get that. Good for you. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, was that a big fan of yours?
Yeah. You want to really test yourself because you mentioned Paul Thomas Anderson? Sit down and try and watch Magnolia.
No.
I dare you.
No.
That's Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah.
That's a long affair.
It's John C. Reilly. It's Tom Cruise. It's
what's his
Julianne
name there?
Moore.
What's with the guy from Fargo, the whiny guy who plays all those weird roles?
William H. Macy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it.
One movie I saw in the theater that I would suggest you run out and see right away is number 39's Lady Bird. Woof.
Any Jurassic Park films on there?
Yeah.
Dolphosaurus or something?
You'll appreciate this. I was doing some prep for one of my weekend shows and was like, give me something on Fiona Apple. Give me anything on Fiona Apple. And she was talking about getting off of drugs. And she said, in an interview, now she used their initials, but it's easy to figure out who she's talking about. She said, anyone who's thinking about doing cocaine should first be forced to sit in a screening room with QT and PTA while they do coke and watch their own movies.
Yeah. One of the great impressions of all time is Norm Macdonald doing Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino and Paul Thomas Anderson doing blow and watching their films while Fiona Apple was in the room was enough to make her quit doing drugs. This is hell. This is hell.
Punch Drunk Love is at number 56. I mean, the whole canon of that. Best in Show is 57.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah, Uncut Gems is 58. That was a good film.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So there you go. Whiplash is 60. I've seen a lot of these movies. Kill Bill. Woof. Memento. Woof. Little Miss Sunshine. Woof. I've seen them. Gone Girl. Woof. Oppenheimer now.
You didn't see Oppenheimer?
No.
Go
Spotlight.
see Oppenheimer,
Woof.
boy. Go see it. 3 hours
The
of
Hurt
not being able
Locker.
to
I
think
got
about
it.
Yeah.
I've seen them all, baby.
The Hurt Locker is in there, huh? Okay.
Ocean's 11 is on here.
Oh.
I don't know.
That's a good movie.
That
The
was a good
original
movie.
one.
Yeah.
Where,
the Sinatra one?
Yeah, where he would
okay.
only show up for 5 minutes at a time and then tell him to go screw.
I dare you to try and watch that movie.
Yeah,
With
any
Sinatra.
rat,
not good.
any Rat Pack
Terrible movie.
is an unmitigated disaster. Hot take: Frank Sinatra sucks. How about that? Try that on for size.
Go ahead and at me.
Yeah, what do you like? You love a crooner? You love to croon? Do you? Or do you like that jazzy old Sinatra that was a total dork that said groovy?
Only crooner I'm interested in is the driving one, my friend.
Okay. We'll be back to finish this up. Hopefully Adam can get back on his game before it's too late with our famous email.
Oh, I have an
segment.
email, so that actually works out well.
Oh, good. It's about time you contributed. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
It's a thing.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
No idea what you're talking about.
Here's more of The Thing on the Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
All right. This is your last chance to email us until we're gone for a week. And so get it in while you can. Go to 985thesportshub.com. You can find our emails there. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Toucher and Hardy. Nicholas is always putting up these wonderful videos. You can follow Hardy at Hardy985. And of course, if you want all the latest content from Hoover, Alabama and the goings on, it's like the Bezos wedding, but on this continent. By the way, what a dork Bezos is. So he's the fourth richest guy in the world. He's marrying some lady, whatever. Okay, good for him. He invited the whole Kardashian family. You know why he did that?
Why?
To get the press like he invited people specifically to get them photographed. Wouldn't you think you'd be above that if you were the fourth richest guy in the world? Like that wouldn't have been of any interest to you? Like what personality defect is in you that you're interviewing? You're announcing your guest list to the press. What in you needs that?
Well,
I'm
you said
serious.
Personality defect. Guys like that, it's never enough. Never enough attention, never enough money, never enough.
He was
of anything.
obviously a huge loser, and he's a smart guy and a phenomenal businessman with a tremendous idea. And the idea that he ran Amazon, whatever the reality of the story is, but he started an online bookstore out of his garage, whatever the real story is, and he turned it into what it is today is an incredible accomplishment. But it just goes to show you that you never get over middle school. Because that a guy his age with his wealth is getting married, and I don't even believe it's his first wedding, but
it's not.
When I saw like the press corps out photographing the entire Kardashian, well, of course I know where they are because it's everywhere, and that it's in the New York Times, and they photographed the entire Kardashian family, and I'm thinking you're not friends with these people. They know what hotel they're at. You've made all of this you need this. Why do you need this? Why is this so important to you?
It is a bizarre personality defect because what he is and how much money he makes, everyone in the world already knows who he is and what he's doing with his life. Why would he need this little extra pop? There's no need for it.
And it's like the Kardashians, so you invited them and they came. It's entirely a transactional affair. They came to be photographed. You came so they get photographed. What? I know why they're there. Because it's their business.
Right.
Their business is to exist and be photographed, and they're very good at it. It's now we're in a post-Empire society where there are no movie stars anymore. There are just people being photographed. Deep. You can email me if you want more. Post 9/11, post Empire. We're not. Before that, the belief is that in the 80s and 90s, America, we felt that we were like untouchable. Then 9/11 happened, and now that we realize that we're vulnerable, and people are panicking a bit. And you add in social media with that. This is a
brave new world.
Don't get me started. But I do. It angered me when I saw the Kardashians being photographed because I thought, again, you would think that at that age with that success that you would be confident enough in yourself where you wouldn't have to invite the Kardashians to your wedding.
Not that guy.
And that you
guys like him.
And that you wouldn't release your guest list to people I would hope that you would have enough friends. Because that's the fantasy, is that you have friends. Not celebrities that you're inviting just to get photographed, real friends, meaningful relationships that you've acquired. Now they might very well be rich people and famous people because you can relate to them and you're kind of at the same affairs. That I understand, but I see doing that on a yacht, like in Greece, where people have to get helicopters because they somehow found out about it. Not this thing where you have a publicity agent releasing the guest list and saying where the people are staying. It's like this new money, trash.
It's the It's the end of the Social Network, where it's like, all he really wants is, to go in there and be friends with his ex-girlfriend on Facebook.
Yeah, it's like trash. Like he's no better than like an Instagram model. It just bothered me.
I have an email here from not Gary Tangway.
Yeah.
Riff.
Let it fly.
Riff with me. Opening scene. Fades from black to a dewy morning on the golf course. LPGA golfer with huge jugs steps up to the tee.
Sure.
Her mother watching from the ropes. Jugs rips a long drive down the middle of the fairway, starts walking alongside her devilishly handsome golf coach on the back. Middle. Bunch of golf stuff happens. End scene. An older but still very attractive male golf coach, maybe played by a local broadcaster, walks into a small-town grocery store for some melatonin gummies. Pair of feet shuffle out of the back room, sauntering down the aisle until the camera pans up to reveal it was Mrs. Lloyd.
Mrs. Lloyd.
All along. Fade to black. Gare Bear out.
Note, if I could just add in, Jugs is a little too obvious. Let's call her Ham Hock. And let's emphasize the ass because this is 2025.
The treatment is the opening scene with Jugs ripping a long drive down the middle, and then it's a bunch of golf stuff happens in the middle. End scene.
But that's art, a long drive down the middle. That's a euphemism for doing it. And then we got a lot of scenes with cars going into tunnels.
Whew.
Controversy.
Yeah, it's working on a bunch of different levels. There's a lot of oysters, close-ups of mouths eating them. Yeah. Tremendous. Jugs McGee was on the first tee, and she was no stranger to driving the stick.
It's awesome.
But then some guy's head blew off. Investigation time. Time to take off the golf hat and put on the detective cap.
They take him to the woodshed.
I can't even get 4 hours to play around with these cans of mine. Now I gotta find out why this dude's head exploded. This ain't no novelty golf ball. It's a bomb. Wait a second, this golf ball has exploded. Oh, jeez, this guy's all deformed now. It blew off a bunch of stuff. Jugs McGee couldn't stop puking because that golf ball really did a number on that fella. He's missing all kinds of stuff. What? Wait till the end.
Cut to a hospital where they do a bunch of hospital stuff. Now, back to the action.
And the doctor, lo and behold, big cans too. Yeah.
Mrs. Lloyd.
And maybe they les out or something, but who knows? We'll fill in those gaps when it happens.
What do they do?
Lesbian relations.
Right.
Hot. Hot stuff. 2 lipstick ones.
Maybe we'll have the doctor handling a pair of scissors, symbolism for the art house scene.
Yeah. Shoot that in black and white or whatever the hell you want to do with it. Put a fan in. Have their hair blown. Who gives a rat's ass? This one was inspired by Billy Squier videos.
It's a good pull.
Yeah. Guy dancing around the bed.
Ruined his career.
Cut to Tawny whatever Katane, if she's still alive.
Tawny Katane.
Or some broad that looks like her. Who cares? Some redhead.
Man.
We cast this with real sex workers. It's going to have that kind of gritty vibe. Plus, the set's going to be a blast.
Green lighted. Done.
Real dirty chicks. I don't know. Find some organized crime money somewhere. They'll do it. Go ahead.
Dan says, I totally get Freddie's addiction with cold plunges. I keep an ice cold glass of water on my desk at work just to dip my hand in to feel something. I've been kicked out of hotels for stealing all the ice from the machine. They find me in the tub in my room yelling, 20 more seconds. My neighbor caught me trying to throw ice in his abandoned hot tub in the middle of the winter just to ride the cube.
The thing about it is there's guys that I like and respect and I know are smart. that put videos on Instagram of like them trying to be like a good influence, and it's them getting into a cold plunge, and I'm like, you're achieving nothing. You're going into cold water. It's like David Goggins. I can't get a job and I can't find a girlfriend. Run! And when you get tired, run more. Yeah. Then what? You'll have run.
Yeah.
It'll all fall into place after that.
I have an email for you, Fred.
No.
I had reached out
If it's negative.
It's not. You'll appreciate it. You remember we had talked about trying to book Craig Finn on the show?
From the whole study. Now, everyone's ears just perked up, yes.
Yes, so I received an email back saying from the press team, we got your request for Craig Finn to join the Toucher and Hardy show. We appreciate the invitation to have Craig on the show and had a large chuckle at the use of girls-like status for the Bill Belichick Golden Bachelor life imitating
You
art.
told them that?
Yes, I did, and they said they enjoyed it. And then they went on and said, perhaps God in Chicago if Ben Johnson can turn the Bears around, or hostile mass for the upcoming Celtics season, and perhaps chill-out tent for the disaster that is the Boston Bruins. But I thought
I don't
it
want
was
him on anymore.
very very clever that that they were aware of the show and
they
were
weren't aware
efforting
of the
to get
show at
him
all.
on the show.
You told them the
I don't
joke.
think it will be happening when he comes through New England in August, unfortunately, because he is an opening act for another. They're not headlining.
He plenty of time. All he's doing is sharing this thing where the guy puts headphones on him and asks him to name the songs. If we're beneath that, I don't see a second contract coming. I'm making a good chunk of money here. If I can't get Craig Finn on the show, I'm in deep yogurt here. I don't know if I can maintain this lifestyle. If I can't get the singer of the Hold Steady to come into the studio.
Seriously.
Jesus, I mean, how many opportunities? If it was NPR, he'd be in here in 10 seconds.
Did you see the email from Ben?
I haven't looked at my email.
Despite your best efforts of convincing folks not to, I am getting married this weekend.
Who told him not to get married?
Just wanted to share this with the hopes that I don't get divorced like Fred or fly from nest to nest.
John got divorced too, and so did Adam.
Mating with whoever I please like Wallach. Love listening to you guys every morning.
And Nick's about to get divorced.
Plan to continue the habit throughout my marriage. If you have any advice aside from not doing it, would love to hear it. Love the show and wish you guys a great vacation. Well, congratulations.
How old is Ben?
I don't know.
Because I can give him literal advice. If he's over 40, he's fine. If he's over 40, you are the person that you are, and your marriage will last. If the problem is when you meet someone when you're 26, this is actual advice. When you're 26 and you meet someone, you can fall in love and get married, and that's wonderful, but you will not be the same person at 46. Now, if you can get through your 40s, then your relationship will evolve, and it will be that kind of partner taking you through the end of your life. The 40s is when, if you're not getting divorced, you're talking about it with your friends, the possibility of it. And that is absolutely true. That is why a lot of people, myself included, think that maybe the best strategy is getting married twice in life. Is that the first time you get married and you have the family, and then hopefully you can keep things civil on that front, and then you meet the partner that you for the person that you are when you're in your 40s or 50s. Wise, probably. Free advice, take it or leave it. You know? Book coming? I mean, it's out there. Simon and Schuss, if you're listening. I can put pen to paper. Yeah! Yeah! Life advice, chicken soup for sluts.
I wasn't really impressed.
Tuesdays with Rocky. Right? Life advice.
Right.
Life advice from a chick with big cooters. Right? Right? Life is like a bra, probably too small because it's hard to find them.
The 5 people you meet in a casting call when you try to get the job as a reporter in a movie.
I'll tell you what, the Wilbur has been a friend of mine. I'm going up there doing charity shows.
He's doing that again, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and big press release. Big press release. This one's on the house, ladies and gentlemen. This one's
I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. I am back.
This is for the less fortunate, this one. Keep your money in your pocket. Gary's doing this on the arm.
Tonight we're going to have some fun.
Yeah, we were. Yeah. Anything went at the rest stop. First line.
Bro.
Take it from there. It was the best of times, and she had big boobs. Nod to the greats. Forget it. All right, so we'll be back.
Jugs cannon teed up the ball on the first tee. Let one rip.
Yeah. Yeah. This kid had it with his private school. He was questioning everyone's motives. But then he met Rocky Suarez, and it all fell into place. Holden, yeah. He had both of them in his hands.
Both of what?
Holden, ass boobs, your dealer's choice.
It's a choose your own adventure. Hold on, a whole new idea.
Turn to page 7.
Caught her in the rye. I don't know, something like that. You know. DP Salinger. Why not? Why not? Why not?
No.
You know, it's a play on. It's play on JD.
No.
Why not? Hey.
No.
Hey, listen.
I don't think so.
Hey, people didn't want to publish American Psycho. All right, we'll be back. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub. absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps or at 985sportshub.com. Toucher and Hardy.
Such an fantastic explosion.
98.5, the Sports Hub. We know what you're thinking. What could I have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy as we finish things up here. Hardy, what's going on?
Well, things to do in Boston this weekend. This is going to be a dual thing, not only for Adam 12, where we find free things, but things for me, too, because, John, you're leaving. Fred, you're leaving.
Yep.
I did have one email asking me, what do you mean, what are you not going to be doing this weekend and this week, Hardy? A quick check and some of the possible locations that you might find me at. Route 138 roadway improvements. MassDOT conducting a project to improve safety and mobility on a 9 stretch of Route 138 from Milton to Mattapan. Project includes the replacement of 5 bridges and rehabilitation of the interchange, the Elm Street culvert and wall replacement, paving projects, and other projects. So there's a lot of stuff that I could find myself doing.
I thought of you the other day. I was driving down a street, like not the highway, and there was someone moving like a wide load, and it was being.
You just got John back into the show.
Sorry, what'd you say?
You heard me, and they were moving it, and it was like being weird, like, and there was like no way to get around it. It was like kind of strange, and all of a sudden I hear this, "What are you doing?" And I go, "What the F?" And it's a guy, just a guy. And he's like, calm down. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, calm down. And I'm like, who are you? And he's like, we're moving this thing. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're coming up to, I go, you just came up. Well, you can't just come up to someone's car. You're surprising me. And he's like, well, you got to back up. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. And I found a way around it.
Did he have a vest on?
No.
No. Screw him.
No, you can't just walk up behind a car and announce your presence. And then say to me to calm down. Like, it's not like I was like, convulsing. I mean, I just went, what the F? Like, it was surprising to me. Calm down. Get out of here with your calm down.
Yeah, you need to calm down. This weekend,
he needed to fix them teeth.
Boston Pizza Festival.
Oh, hello.
Ooh, I've hosted this before. It's a fun time.
I've actually just attended on my own, not through anything other than I love a pie. Dough, sauce, cheese toppings. True pizza heads know it's anything but being as simple as that. They will be in 7th heaven at the Boston Pizza Festival. Offerings from 22 pizzerias, or as we are instructed in Do the Right Thing, pizzeria. Sal's Pizzeria. Get the full list online here on bostonmagazine.com. But 12?
Well, they used to advertise with the radio stations, and now they don't anymore, so I'll be out on that. Thanks.
Oh, well, I'll be in $10, City Hall Plaza.
Yeah, but then you got to buy
Sunday.
tickets for the slices, too. It's just $10 to walk in.
I don't care.
By the way, I just saw that it's these games I'm attending for my son. For me to get in, it will be cost me $55.
Is that for the whole week?
That is if I choose to go if I pay up front for the whole week, or I can go $15 a day for the 4 days.
Okay.
I showed up at Steve's, not his son who was playing in the state championships, but his younger son who was playing in some tournament outside of Lansing when we went last summer, and there were literally 12 people there. And my daughter and I walked up, and they said, that'll be $6 each. I'm like, are you kidding? It's Sunday morning. We're next to a church on a field. How about if I just walk over there and walk around the field? Okay, here's your $12. All right.
Enjoy your weekend.
Your daughter had to be thrilled.
Oh, she had a really good time at that game.
Yeah, she's like, I can see like some guy I don't know's kid playing in an amateur baseball game. I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
We're going to stay for the whole thing.
Well, that's good. You showed him it wasn't interesting enough to keep your attention.
Look, I made an appearance at both of his son's games.
He asked you to do that?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, I'd be mortified if a friend come. I'd be like, unless it's Dan Roach.
Yeah.
And he sidles up to a high school game, which happened.
I know. He randomly met you. What field did he randomly go to meet you at your son's game?
Winchendon, maybe?
Oh, I thought
Winchendon's not close to where he lives, is it?
I can't remember what field it was. It
Oh,
wasn't.
man.
It wasn't in Andover though.
Okay.
No, it was very nice. The coach was over the moon that he was there. All right, that'll do it for us. Enjoy your week. It should end up being better than mine. Everyone enjoy your weeks. That'll do it for us. Bye.
Have a weekend. Toucher and Hardy will be back.